Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to Weeb Seen It podcast, episode number 23. My name's Cam.
And I'm Jimmy.
And before we get into today's episode, obviously, we're just going to say a quick couple things. So last week's episode was our most popular one yet.
Yeah.
So as far as views, comments, likes, all that kind of stuff, it was the top of our list. So thanks a lot. We also did receive a few comments. There was I think he is a Kumo Desu subreddit mod. Because he said he was going to share it on the Kumo Desu Discord, which is really, really cool. So yeah, if you're out here, and obviously if he's a mod, he might have some special privileges. But even if you're not, of course, if you ever feel like sharing it anywhere, whether it's to a friend or if it's to a community, helps us out a lot. And that kind of keeps us going and keeps our videos growing a little bit. Because obviously every single week we're trying to make it better and better, right? We're trying to get a little bit more every single week to slowly grow. Obviously we're in a really, really, really good anime season right now, which makes it easy. True. In the future, we might not be in as good as anime season, so we're going to try and get as much growth now as we can. But yeah, we in the last video, we topped 200 subs. So, it took us, I think, 4 months to hit 100, and then took us 2 weeks to hit 200, which is really good.
Yeah. And
we're already a quarter of the way to 300, so thanks a lot if you subscribed. And that's pretty much it. So if you're watching this, of course, like, subscribe, but most importantly, comment. We love comments. It's the whole thing, discussion.
Oh, yeah. Any interaction is always appreciated, but... seeing those conversations going on in the comments is definitely nice to see. So
yeah, that's kind of the point of the channel. So those are the big ones. But yeah, if you do like the content and you want to come back in future episodes, then of course subscribe. That way at least when the episodes come out. Typically we air these. It's sometime in Monday. Right now it's a little bit delayed just because we're having some issue with editing technology and stuff like that. Yeah. But most of the time it's Mondays, whether it's in the morning or the night, just to get it out as soon as possible after the big show, Attack on Titan. So yeah, I think other than that, we're going to get into today's episode. Before we start, of course, non-sponsored your drink. Boom. Okay, and of course, every single week right now, we start with the exact same thing. We start with ReZero, and today we have episode number 45.
The beginning of Sanctuary and the beginning of the end.
Yeah, so we did not see Amelia go right to a second trial. We kind of guessed that, or we wondered last week if it was just going to go right from that trial to another trial. Instead, we got a little bit of break to see, what Subaru's doing. Still, in a sense, it's like the same kind of thing as Amelia's trial because it's almost all entirely flashbacks.
It is, yeah.
But this one, we're learning more about Roswaal. He's like the big guy we're learning about. A little bit more about Beatrice, and then a little bit about what the hell's her name? I always remember their first name is Ryuzu. I think Ryuzu is what they're called, right? Yeah, they all have the different first names. But yeah, so we're learning about them. Learning a little bit about Echidna when she's still alive. And we haven't yet found out why they made the sanctuary or quite how. We've seen pieces of it and like...
Yeah, I think it was kind of tied to the... what was it? The Devil of Melancholy we saw in this episode?
Yeah, now was it just me or did like Roswell's future clothing kind of look like his? He had a very clown-looking outfit, but obviously not as chipper. But
I mean, yeah, and at the same time, he also had the very similar speech pattern.
Yeah, he did.
So I feel like Roswaal might have based a lot of everything he did off of that. So.
I don't know why. Once again, like the melancholy is not a sin. So we're off the pages of like what we thought were just going to be 7 deadly sins originally with mentioning of pride, sloth, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
but recently they've also showed like the Witch of Vanity, that's not one of the 7 deadly sins. I guess vanity and pride are pretty close, but not quite one.
I mean, it could very much be that like maybe the major witches are after the deadly sins and other creatures are named after something else.
Maybe. What do you think Amelia would be the witch of? A witch of best girl?
Witch of simps? I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't. It was a good episode. Didn't have tons of combat, which is fine. The only combat it had like Roswaal fighting him, kinda
quote unquote fighting,
getting his ass completely kicked is basically it. But yeah, it's trying to teach us more about the sanctuary, which we've spent all of this season so far. Basically being like, hey, why is this place? Why does it exist, and how does it exist?
Yeah.
In this, we learned that Echidna is the one making it, obviously, and that she ends up having to speed her plans up a little bit because this guy, this Archbishop of Melancholy, comes in. We don't know what his deal is yet, but he's gonna fuck shit up. So they have to kind of step a couple steps ahead in the plan, and that requires them to sacrifice the Ryuzu girl to become like the core, right?
Yeah.
The core of the sanctuary, keeping the whole thing up, is what we've seen. That's kind of like the main plot of the episode. Obviously, there's a lot of little subtle things with the characters in between, and
there's a lot of other little details. But at the end of the day, she's going to be used as a core to just something. Also about having beast people and demi-humans there helps power it.
Yeah, like because they mentioned like they have a lot of them. The more they have, it kind of works better and stuff like that. So we still don't really 100% understand the reasoning for the sanctuary yet. But obviously, that's probably going to be told to us next episode.
Yeah.
It might have something to do just with this melancholy guy.
Yeah, because it seems like he has some sort of tie to Echidna. So
some sort of tie. Yeah. Plus, it's always like nice learning more about like Echidna or any of the witches while they were alive. So that's
Yeah.
kind of cool. Now, did you find something weird in this? You notice something about Echidna in this episode?
You mean at the very, very start?
I mean,
or-
all of it. They never show her face. They never show her full face.
That
That's
is-
sus. Not
that is
not even
true,
one
yeah.
time. I was watching the entire episode.
Yeah.
Not even a single time did they show her entire face. They sometimes showed the bottom half, and I think that's sus because one of her most other obviously you're looking at her like platinum hair and you're like, oh, that's her like distinguishing feature. But one of her most distinguishing features to be like, oh, this is Echidna is actually the white eyelashes,
Yeah.
which they deliberately didn't show the top half of the face, meaning they didn't show us white eyelashes, meaning something sus is going on.
I mean, yeah, because even in the last few episodes, eyes have been a huge deal. Like, even when Subaru and Amelia were talking, when they came to that understanding, you suddenly saw Subaru reflected in Amelia's eyes. So there's definitely something going on there. I honestly thought you were going to home in on, like, the opening of the episode with the mana siphoning and all that, but...
Oh, no, I was literally just the entire thing. I was like, oh, why aren't they showing Echidna here? And then at one point, she said some sort of line and it sounded different. I was almost going to do, like, checkups to see if the person who voiced Echidna in this episode was the same who voiced Echidna in previous episodes. Because I was, like, expecting a twist to come along where it actually was, like, Satella and not Echidna or something. Because, like, why would you hide a character's face that we already know?
Yeah.
You got to ask yourself, like, obviously as viewers, you got to look at like the direction that they took in the episode and be like, you know, obviously why would they take this certain this direction? Like, why would they choose to not show Echidna's face? What could they possibly have to gain? Since as viewers, we've already seen her face. It's not like they're waiting to unveil the surprise. She's called Echidna multiple times in the episode, and it all seems really strange to me.
Yeah.
So I wonder if something in the next episode is gonna. Obviously, we don't really know. I mean, I don't think it could be someone else other than her. Unless, like, maybe when she's alive, she didn't have her eyelashes. Like, hey, let's give this cool unveil that she looked slightly more normal when she's alive.
That's possible. I mean, part of it, too, is it was all done from, Rizuru's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be just that she never met her eyes.
She's just too small. She's too short. She just never looks up. Like, oh,
more
look
of
at those eyelashes.
More of a deference thing, but yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, a lot of this, you get to see a couple interactions between Roswell and Beatrice. Obviously, we know in the future, they're kind of like friends in a sense.
Yeah, but in the future, it seems more like a business relationship.
They're like acquaintances, but you got to be like, oh, I wonder when they met. They seem to at least trust each other's strengths to a certain extent, or something along that line. And then obviously, as you learn a little bit more about Beatrice earlier on in this season, and as you learn about Roswell's true intentions, stuff like that, you're like, okay, like it kind of makes sense now. But this is like that missing piece to put it together. I like how antagonistic they are in this to each other.
Yeah, like they're just straight up like teasing and mocking each other, and like I did not expect to see this side from Roswell, let alone Beatrice. So
I mean, that's nice. I feel like I really liked Roswell when he was first shown in like the anime. I was like, okay, this is cool, like a clown guy. Oh, and he's really strong, and like he's trying to help out Amelia. Well, most people like hate her because she's like a half elf kind of thing. Obviously, this season you're probably not supposed to like Roswell very much.
no,
but I don't know. Yeah, little backstory never hurts. His little antagonistic relationship with Beatrice is funny. Obviously, Beatrice's personality is always kind of funny. She's just like kind of like a stuck-up little bitch, but not really though. She just like acts like it.
I mean, even in this, like they really drove home the idea that she's more of a spoiled brat than anything else. Like even with the big reveal that Rizuru is going to be the core of this, she's like, "I'm going to go ask my mom so that you don't have to do this." It's like,
yeah, like she actively doesn't, even though she always tries to act tough, she really does not want her to go.
Yeah,
she just said she's going to teach her how to read, and they're kind of like friends and stuff like that. So I don't. The beginning of the episode too, with the weird makeout thing, the mana suck with Roswell and Echidna was also kind of funny. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like really emphasized, dude. It's like, oh, okay, so we're going down this route now.
It was also just in like a weird style, right? It wasn't like quite black and white, but it was more like a manila and it was like kind of style. And like I don't think they had no, did they have audio?
They had audio.
Did they? Okay, I thought there was something else weird about it.
It had like the scratchy film filter over it.
Okay, and I was just like, okay, like that's Roswell, right? Unless it's like one of his ancestors or something. And then
which I think it was Roswell because in this episode he openly says, "I've been waiting 400 years for this." So
yeah, so it kind of shows that he has like too much mana in a sense.
Yeah,
where it just wants to explode out of him.
Yeah,
so she has to help him out a little bit, give him a quick suck.
Damn it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering what's gonna happen. Like my guess is, if I had to guess, like what the whole sanctuary reason is, it can't just be to keep out this melancholy guy who's already there, because why is the whole specific things about like the half race people?
Yeah, I mean, unless it's something meant to keep them in.
I mean, maybe, but even then, I would. I mean,
Because I mean, the barrier kind of goes both ways, right? Getting in and getting out are both have their own circumstances.
well, yeah, because you can get in. Like any race or any person can get in.
Yeah, but didn't Amelia pass out on their way in?
Yeah, and then Subaru had like a weird thing where he was like lost and had like a vision and stuff like that. I don't know if this is an everyone situation thing or if this is specific to them.
Yeah, so I feel like a non demi human trying to get in has a different circumstance to arrive than anyone else.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, I mean, either way, it's either to keep someone in or to keep someone out. But
Yeah.
I'm assuming obviously it's gonna have some more to do with probably like the. It's very possible this is gonna give us the background story of like the witches cult finally.
Yeah, I mean, I very much appreciate to know what was going on and why they.
Well, the time frame that it's showing us right now would be the farthest in the past we've seen that could actually involve the witches cult, because the farthest we've seen so far is Amelia's flashback.
Yeah, which
is
would have
like 100 or 200 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, it would have been about 100 years.
But this is before that. This is earlier than that. So this is the earliest we've seen the witches cult if he is a member of the witches cult, the melancholy guy, which we assume probably just based off the.
I mean, he has some sort of tie. This might even predate the witches cult. This might be the formation of the witches cult.
It's true. Yeah. So I mean, I always want answers of the witches cult because they've been in here really early in season 1.
Yeah, they were effectively the original antagonists to the series. So
yeah, and we've never really gotten that many answers. Every time one of them shows up, if anything, we just get more questions than answers.
Yeah.
It's so I would like more answers on that, and if this kind of shows that, if the sanctuary has something to do with that, with the witches cult, it would make sense to me. But it could just be absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I mean, this could be another seal situation as well, something that's been locked away that this guy was supposed to try and find.
True. We didn't even get the answer to the seal question, so it's like I wonder. They're just keep giving us more questions, but we haven't gotten that many answers yet.
Yeah,
the answers are really really slow to come. Maybe that means when we get them, it's going to feel even better.
I mean, I hope. I mean, I'm really hoping that they're going to answer some of these questions before the season's up. So
I assume so. I don't know if they're going to answer the seal question, but I think they might. So obviously, the sanctuary is the big.
Yeah, sanctuary is going to be dealt
season.
with. Like they're probably going to deal with the mansion as well this season.
I would hope so. But I mean, like now it seems weird because it's been a lot of episodes since Subaru died, which in ReZero that always just feels off. But at the same time, we've discussed before, we don't really want him to die right now.
Yeah,
because this is the timeline.
Yeah, because resetting this basically means the loss to Roswell in a completely different pathway we're gonna have to go down.
Yeah, we did also in this episode we got to see the confrontation between them, obviously continuing from the last episode, where Roswell has like a little bit of a freak out, a little mini freak out, which is nice to see because he's one of those like normally composed, like always smug characters. So seeing him like kind of lose his shit a little bit is always really nice.
Yeah, like this is straight refusal, and then at the end when he starts comparing himself to Subaru, it was like, okay, he's going a little mad. Then you kind of see what he's getting at though.
Yeah, I mean, even like his relationship status kind of thing. Like he was in love with a silver-haired witch.
Yeah,
Subaru's in love with the silver-haired witch. Do anything for them kind of situation. But Subaru points out that they have like two different like drives in like a sense.
Yeah, one focuses on weakness, the other focuses on the potential strength.
Yeah, so their brawl continues. I am assuming we're gonna get to see how it plays out next week. And yeah, how many episodes away do you think we are from solving this? Like obviously we're on episode 45, which would put us. I hate that they don't just do like season 2 episode this because I always get confused. Because season 1 was 23, 24 episodes?
I think so, yeah.
I don't know. We're semi close. The season ends in like March or April, doesn't it? Like winter.
I think it ends with the next coming season. So I mean,
because I feel like we have to be done the sanctuary thing. Really, I don't think the sanctuary issue is going to go right to the end of the season.
I don't hope so because I want them just to get through this and start working on the mansion issue so we can start getting onto the next arcs.
Yeah, because even if you ignore the sanctuary issue and the mansion issue, there's still the whole thing with like Rem and the it was greed and
pride,
maybe, or was it gluttony?
It might be gluttony, yeah.
Because I feel like gluttony was there, angry that they like killed one of his whales, and then he had like three more or something like that. It was something troll like that.
Yeah,
I feel like that might have been what it was, and he was like eating shit.
That would have been
But yeah, like we still have that. Like obviously we saw that happen. Obviously we know Rem's kind of fucked right now. We don't know what the solution to that whole issue is, other than possibly killing like all of the.
Because it's a known issue. It's referred to as what, Sleeping Beauty disease or
something, and they mentioned that he has to kill all the beast, right? Like that was really early on in the season. It's like, oh, you're gonna have to kill all of the Witch of Gluttony's like creatures kind of things.
Yeah, which means we've got multiple whales to deal with. We've got the great serpent to deal with.
Yeah, like even the rabbits are the one that seems like this would be the thing we're going to touch on this season. But like we have to finish the sanctuary, solve the mansion, and then the bunnies. Because like the bunnies, if they solve the whole sanctuary mansion thing, the bunnies probably won't be there. Because the bunnies are only there because they were specifically drawn to the heavy amount of mana from the snowfall, right?
Right, which was something that Roswell did specifically to put a time limit on it.
Yeah, he did it. So like if that never happens, the bunnies won't show up. But eventually Subaru still has to go find these bunnies. And it just seems like since that's one of the things he's died to this season, that would be the one he'd eventually have to try and deal with this season.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, who knows? We're running out of time. I kind of want them to be done the sanctuary plot in the next like 2 episodes. But considering we still have 2 Amelia trials, whether or not they show us both of them, it seems like they probably would. But 2 Amelia trials.
I mean, for all we know, they're just going to wipe out the other 2 trials because Echidna specifically said you're not going to have trouble with them.
Yeah.
They might just show Amelia kind of walking through and they're just kind of saying, yeah, no, you're okay. Go.
A lot of people in the comments did mention that last week we kind of forgot some key shit. We both mentioned that like we'd never seen a second or third trial when we did see the second trial by Subaru.
Oh, God.
It was the one he had to experience all the different like timelines as if like after he was dead.
But I honestly forgot that was a trial, and I thought that was just Echidna fucking.
That's what I thought too. I even wrote that in the comments. Like, you know what? I was like, you're right. I was like, I remember that happened, but in my mind, that was just like him being fucked with. I didn't actually take that as the official trial, and I guess it would be very different for regular people, right? Because he sees all these different outcomes, but that's also because he has the specific power where there's all these different timelines. I guess for Amelia, it would just be one thing, so maybe it would take less time, less hard to deal with.
I feel like Amelia, that trial would take the form of what would happen if no one attacked.
Yeah, I don't. And then obviously the third trial, we don't even know what it is. Probably something to do with the future. But I guess the second one was kind of future-y.
I mean,
unless it's like it's like a present where like
Subaru was specifically showing this is what the present would have been in each of those situations where you died.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't have been the future, but for Subaru, the future is kind of a weird concept.
Yeah, I don't know. The trial would look just like how the first trial looked very different from Amelia and from what we saw of Subaru. The second trial would also look pretty different because Subaru has a very, and in the first trial he had a very specific past, being from a whole different world, and in the present he has a whole different thing because of his whole rebirth by death thing. Yeah. So it's very different. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of would like if we only have like 2, maybe 3 episodes left in the Sanctuary, so we could start moving on to like the mansion, and then even go on to plots beyond that. But
yeah, that'd be ideal. I just had a thought, and this isn't really related to anything, but do you think during the next couple trials, do you think Echidna might reveal Subaru's return by death to Amelia?
I wish someone else would know about it that he could tell to, but I don't think so, because I feel like Echidna isn't going to be that nice.
But can you think about how much it would fuck with Amelia if she did drop that information? It's like, by the way, he has killed himself multiple times just to try and help you.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know if Amelia would take that as like a really big positive kind of situation.
I don't think she would either.
Because then at the same time, it's like anything. It's like, oh, if he's like returned all this time, he knows more about me than like I think he knows about me. That might make you kind of uncomfortable. Yeah. He knows me's that even I don't know. It'd be a whole thing.
Yeah.
Plus, then Echidna like almost like used the fact that she's the only one who knows that like she's the only one Subaru can like open his soul up about it to like try to get him to agree with her. So I don't know if she wants to throw away that card yet. Maybe one. I want someone to learn about it, but obviously Subaru can't tell anybody. So the only person who could tell people would be Echidna.
Yeah, and even then, we don't know if the rules would apply to Echidna because this is something done by Satella. So.
Yeah. I don't know. Either way, next episode we're going to learn more about the Sanctuary. We're going to probably learn why these, eventually why these trials were even put in place. Because if what they're doing in the Sanctuary is really good, why would you really even want some sort of countermeasure to, shut it down at some point? These are questions that we have to learn that we can probably only learn in the next episode or 2.
I mean, I think Echidna said it best herself. She's a very evil witch who just occasionally does something good. So we don't know if the Sanctuary is actually a good thing.
Yeah, we don't. It could be a completely bad thing, and that's why we want to shut it down. So we'll be finding out next week, though, just like you guys will be. So if you liked this episode, leave us a comment down below. All that kind of stuff. Any theories you have, spoiler free as always. Or if you're going to leave a spoiler, just make sure there's enough space and you properly tell people so people know. Yeah. And we'll be talking about ReZero next week as always.
Oh yeah.
Next up on the list, returning back, we have Promised Neverland, episode number 6.
Still no title.
Coming back from its episode 5.5 recap episode. We obviously left with a big cliffhanger the week before where Norman reappears with his little merry band of men. This episode we just immediately take off right from there.
Yeah, they just pick right up where they left off. And did you feel that this was a little rushed in his explanation?
Yeah, okay. So I did. And I was like wondering if there was like a reason for that, if they wanted to save time and not like do any sort of flashbacks or anything. Because normally, like I feel like this would have been a good episode to throw in a Norman flashback. Like unless like there was a specific plot around him like deceiving them and none of this actually happened or worked out different, and he's like hiding key details. If this was actually all factual, I would expect a flashback episode showing his reveal, when like showing his perspective again from when he was taken to the room, and then like kind of showing us a little bit of a flashback from there.
Yeah, but I mean, even when he was explaining it to everyone, he just kind of said like, "Yeah, no, they just sent me to a different farm where they did experiments, and yeah, now I'm here."
Yeah, I mean, I can already see the whole like where the Norman plot is going now. We talked about it before, obviously, when we thought way in the future when Norman returned, he was going to be an antagonist. I feel like he still is, but it's going to be a different kind. I feel like him and his crew, they're going to, in their mind, once again, think that they're doing this for like the greater good, but it's going actively against what our other set of main characters think is good.
Yeah, I mean, it's specifically going against one person.
Yeah, listen. So I heard, obviously, we've heard a lot of negative stuff about Promised Neverland this season. Even just like with veering off the manga, skipping what some people consider like their favorite arc with mixed with favorite characters, and then going right into a recap people are happy about. I saw some positive stuff about this. Like I thought people were like, "Oh, this was the best episode of the season so far," but I didn't really like this episode. And the main reason I didn't like it is because I just don't think like that Emma's logic is rational enough.
She hasn't. I understand that there's a whole idea that she doesn't want someone who thinks and has a name and all that to die. But she's only experienced 2 demons that are actually halfway decent.
Yeah,
maybe 3.
And we might learn a story for Norman soon to imply that one of them isn't even halfway decent.
Yeah, he referred to her as what, the evil-blooded girl?
Yeah, something like that. But it just seems like I understand like that logic of like she's the good character. She doesn't want people to die, even if like obviously some demons they do pretty bad things to these children. But some of them are just living regular lives and they just get their human meat like normal. It's just like them going to a grocery store, picking up some meat. And I get that logic, but at this point too, like this is about survival of the fittest. You live in this world. It's time to like accept it.
Yeah, you don't have the luxury of mercy.
Yeah, not to mention like you still have these kids at this farm. Like Norman's offering a plan right now that even if you don't like it, this plan could at least be active now. You don't even have a timeline of when you'd be able to rescue these kids before they're already being sent out to be eaten.
Yeah. Like you had nothing going into this.
Yeah,
so fighting against
all their
plan,
plans were like completely fucked. Like in the past year or so, like they really have nothing going on. They have no positives. They have no way of knowing how long it is till they can return to Phil and rescue the other kids, let alone all the other farms.
Yeah,
like not a single plan at all. Norman's offering a plan, even if it's not like something that you completely morally agree with. At the same time, it just seems like so stupid to actively go against it. You can express like, hey, I don't really like this plan. I think that express to Norm like I don't want to kill all demons kind of thing. Like explain to him that hey, we have information that we might be able to just cross and go back to the human side eventually instead of like having to kill all the demons and like living here. But like let's do your plan for now to give us a slight edge at least to rescue the other kids from the farms and stuff.
Buy some time, break down their infrastructure, do something like that. But no, she's just straight to like I don't want to kill them. And even Ray kind of went along with that a little easier than I would have liked.
Yeah, and even like, and the logic, even at one point, she admits it. She's like, I know that like taking away all the humans and stuff like that would, all the demons would die eventually, anyways, if we all flee.
I mean, they're not even dying; they're becoming beasts, basically.
And at the same time, too, it's just like they could easily just get. There might be an opportunity to just get more humans from the human side. You might just be screwing over other generations or future generations.
I mean, for all we know, that there's just like overpopulated prisons we could just be sending people over from, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. They really have no idea. So to me, it just seems like such a stupid idea to just be like, okay, we can't go against this plan because in this one day that I had to think about it, I morally don't like it very much. Like, I don't know. I understand that some people liked it because you get a little bit more of that drama that like this first season had.
Yeah. But even then, it's very different. The first one was more cat and mouse, back and forth trying to escape, almost a prison break sequence.
Mm-hmm.
This is more soapbox moral aggrandizing.
Yeah, and we do get to see a little different perspective from Norman's crew. One, they all look way older than.
Yeah.
Now they could actually be older because
I think he specifically says that they showed normal development in various ways.
Well, but if you think about it too, Norman was at the absolute upper limit of where the kids were allowed to get to before being sent out, and then he got sent out and put to this farm for experimenting. If we assume the same with the rest of the kids, that means the kids went into this farm at the oldest amount, so the youngest kids there were probably 12 to 13. So, depending on how long they, endure experiments here for, these kids could be slightly older, mixed with the fact that the experimenting might also just
screw with them.
Screw with him a little bit, yes. Yeah. But yeah, the girl, we get to see the girl obviously be a little bit insane. She's eating a big chunk of demon meat, being like, it's almost implied that it's not even like good, but like, hey, they're gonna eat us,
Yeah, it's more that she wanted to do to them what they did to her family, I guess.
Yeah, friends, family, all of them,
like siblings, I guess is the term they use.
The kind of shit that goes on in this place that we have not seen yet, obviously, is intense. It's much worse than like the life they live at these farms, because even though yes, they're still being killed at the farms, they don't even know it until the second they're being killed, basically.
Yeah,
and even their death doesn't seem like it's a very harsh death.
I mean, it'd probably be a little scary just seeing big ass demon stabbing you in the heart.
Of course, yes, but I mean, at least at the when you go to the experimental place, it seems like you probably already know everything about all these demons and what is happening to your race, and now you're also being experimented on, and so it's much worse. So they obviously have lived harder lives than you could maybe say Emma or Ray has.
Yeah, because I mean, they'd also have to live with the fact that everyone they ever knew has been basically fed to demons. They were chosen to be an exception for some reason.
Yeah, probably just because they're the best of the best.
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked those characters, but obviously, like, I'm seeing an antagonistic future ahead of them for them. Or like they're like the anti-heroes maybe. They still want the outcome that's positive, but they have a slightly more negative way of doing it. And I definitely think that in the next episode or the one after that, we're going to get a split from the Emma Ray crew, and they're going to go off and do something else, and then there's going to be the Norman crew.
Yeah, I mean, the big question is, do you think any of the kids are going to go with Norman instead?
I don't think so. I don't think they would.
You sure?
I mean, maybe like a very, very small percentage of them, but I feel like most of these kids probably trust Emma more than anybody else. I feel like they would follow Emma even above Ray or Norman.
Yeah. My big question is, because if they're given the opportunity for revenge on these demons, I feel like somebody's going to latch on to that.
It's true, but I feel like in general, these kids, obviously because they've lived a slightly easier lifestyle, stuff like that, I feel like they don't really crave revenge like the other people do.
Maybe, yeah.
At least, I don't know. Nothing I could... You could maybe argue like Don might, because he's older, he might still have like want revenge for Connie. He had obviously had a deep connection with her, especially out of like all of his siblings.
Yeah, we've seen him make bad decisions in the past. So.
Yeah, we have seen him make bad decisions. Recently seems like he's kind of over those bad decisions, but he's probably not. I mean, they're like 13 years old. Obviously, bad decisions are prone to happen.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's possible, but I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna actively get Emma and Ray going against Norman. Like if he's like, hey, I don't care if you guys are in or not, I'm activating this plan because really you guys weren't even necessary in any of these steps.
Yeah, we were going to do it anyways. We just happened to find you.
So I don't know if Emma's going to like try and actively fuck him over. If she's just going to be like, well, we can't be a part of this. Like we're going to solve things our own way. We're going to rescue Phil and them our own way.
Because I mean, one thing I did notice in this was they've actually edited Norman into the opening. Like
which is good, yeah. Because I mean, obviously, if they put him in there earlier, that'd kind of give it away.
Yeah, but I'm kind of curious if this is their way of trying to say he's going to be around for a while, or if this is a fake out.
I think he might be around. I don't think they're going to like do dual perspectives every now and then. They might show us something that Norman and his like crew are doing.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see the future like dynamic between the two groups. Obviously, I want to see Isabella come back in. It's been a year at this point since she was like let out to go find them. So that's going to be really interesting when she shows up to the kids eventually.
Yeah.
And I'm just in general excited to see what Norman's got to say next episode about Sanju and whatever the hell her name is. Girl, yeah, because obviously in this episode they mentioned like the whole point is the drug is going to degenerate or whatever the hell they call it to all the demons because they won't, as if they weren't eating people for a long period of time. But we know these two characters don't eat people apparently. And they had no degeneration. They're still intelligent and human-like and that kind of stuff. So, Emma and Ray think that they've got, 3 steps ahead. Norman, 300 IQ, going to explain to him there are demons that aren't affected. But then Norman not only knows this, he also specifically sounds like he knows the demon. And then he seems to be having like a little bit of a panic attack.
Seems
PTSD
like one
or something.
Specific demon that's either done something very notable or is going to fuck up his plan.
Yeah, and it seems like it's going to be the one that we know. It seems like it's going to be Lady Demon, who obviously... if Emma finds out that she has done very evil things, it's going to kind of fuck with her a little bit because she's like, oh, if only all demons were as friendly as her and like perfect. And, she gave her like the charm and... Yeah,
I mean, the big question would have to be, how much do you trust? Because Norman would have found out about this from demons in their records.
Mm-hmm.
So their idea of evil and Emma's idea of evil probably aren't going to be the same thing.
I mean, probably not. But I don't know. Norman's like level of PTSD when he found out about it seems like it's going to be something firsthand.
Yeah.
That's my guess anyways. Maybe something that happened in the last year since they broke out. We're going to see maybe a flashback episode, next episode of Norman and his crew. running into those demons and something happens. I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, his crew seems like the type who would have actively attacked.
Probably. It seems like they want to kill every demon they run into.
Yeah,
They're like season 1 Eren Yeager with Titans.
Pretty much, yeah. And we've seen how well her protector works.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a good chance they probably lost someone if they did pick a fight with them.
Probably. Yeah, I'm hoping we get a flashback next episode, either like just figuring out what this little plot line's about, or even just since Norman left the farm, to see how much is true, to see the experiments that were taking place, to kind of know.
Yeah, even just a little bit of context here would help, like knowing what type of experiments put these people in this mindset where all they want is revenge.
Yeah,
because they don't seem to give it, like they don't seem to care about the future, like creating a better life for other people. They just want to kill demons.
Yeah, I feel like Norman does care about those things. And that's why he's like the boss, the leader. He has like the vision, and they're just the people who are there to help him do it. Well, yeah, it's at least for the most part, the girl anyways just 100% wants revenge. The other guys seem a little bit smarter, a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean the one guy was specifically like, I can't wait to kill them all.
Yeah.
The last one, like he's kind of in a weird position because we didn't hear much from him. So
he's the smart guy though. He's the smart guy of the crew.
I mean, other than Norman.
Yeah, I don't know. He's like the accountant guy.
I guess, yeah.
He's the book smart guy. Norman has both book smarts and street smarts.
He's there more just to keep like a running tally of stuff while Norman does all the actual thinking.
But yeah, if you guys watch this episode, I'd like to hear your opinion on if you think it was good, if you think it was bad, or even your opinions on this arc in general and the fact that they skipped an entire year and they skipped an arc if you were a manga reader. Yeah. Just out of curiosity. But yeah, I don't know, because I've heard some people really love this episode. I myself was like, it wasn't bad, but it didn't, like, I don't know if I'd call it the best episode of season 2, like some people apparently have been.
Yeah. I mean, the season's been kind of weird that way. I can't think of many episodes that have really jumped out at me.
Probably like the first one, honestly, is like the
first one or the second one would probably be my top pick.
Yeah.
This episode definitely had something to it, but until I know a little bit more about what happened with Norman, I'm going to be reserved on that.
I think back to early on in the season when I mentioned it on the podcast a couple times, is that even when I was convincing my friend that he should, actually watch season 2 because he was a big fan of season 1, I was like, no, listen though, like people have said that the arc that the manga covers here is the best. So that's why it's going to make it like the best season.
And that's the one that got skipped.
That's the one they skipped. So
I just have to ask the question, like, why skip this?
It was the choice by the writer. So like the person who wrote Promised Neverland,
like, is he holding on to it for the end? Or
I don't think so. I just think he decided that it wasn't necessary to get to the end that he wanted to present in the anime. So,
I mean, is this going to be the last season? And it is. Is that going to be by choice, or is that going to be because they kind of screwed themselves?
I guess that depends how the second half of the season goes.
Yeah,
because we're already halfway through at this point, right?
I mean, hopefully they pulled everything together enough that we're going to get a little bit of an upturn, but
hopefully, for all we know, the other half of the season could just be dealing with this Norman plot with the the drug and that kind of stuff and executing on a city. Like, we really have no context and no idea where it's going to go from here.
Yeah, like we haven't had enough interaction with this world to really care about the moral ramifications of this.
Yeah,
we just know demons eat people, demons evil.
Yeah, even the demons that we've met that are nice. We also saw like behind us as viewers saw behind the curtains of like Sanju, for instance, whose plan is just like, I want to eat humans in the future unlimited. He wants the all-you-can-eat buffet. So it's like, we don't really give a fuck if they use this drug to kill all the demons as viewers. Yeah. So
like Sanju's attitude is like, I won't eat them because they're farmed, but their kids won't be farmed.
Yeah, he only wants that free range. But yeah, I don't know. As viewers, we don't give a fuck if they use the drug. I just am more curious about the dynamic between the two groups and where it's going to go.
Yeah.
So I guess we're going to find that out coming up in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I really hope Ray calls him out at some point.
I mean, Emma just annoyed me, I'm like, come on, Emma, use your brain. I understand that you're like the nice one, you want to take all the kids with you, even if it's not rational. And
I know, but at least that made some sense in the first one because she understood that they were getting out.
Yeah.
She didn't know that the world was full of demons everywhere at that point. She just wanted to escape the farm. Now that she knows that demons are everywhere, now that she knows that demons just want to eat them other than this one or these two that she met, I don't think she has that moral level of just being able to say, like, let's not do this. Like, fuck it, we'll all die.
Yeah, they don't have enough information yet, but if it's even going to be possible for them to actually go live in the human world or anything like that, to not at least try to maybe make this world livable for humans. Even if the demons know that if they actively do this drug on like multiple demon cities and it works, like that might be good enough that then they can at least make like a human civilization where those demons don't fuck with them as much. But obviously, it depends on which scale. If they do this to all the demons, and
wild demons are still dangerous.
Yeah,
like unless you're gonna like take over the farm and use it as a defensive fortification instead of like a prison. But That just brings us to an Attack on Titan situation where you're all living within walls.
Maybe that's what Norman wants.
I mean, yeah.
Either way, we're gonna have to wait till upcoming episodes to find out. So stick with us. If you were a fan of this episode, leave a like, leave a comment, all that kind of stuff, and let us know what you think about this episode. And Promised Neverland season 2 so far.
Yeah.
Just give us your opinions down below.
Yeah,
okay. Next up, quintessential quintuplets. Yeah. So this week, obviously, like we've mentioned before, we normally are going to be deciding between quintessential quintuplets and Horimiya. Both had developments in the episodes that you could say,
Yeah.
but I think as far as a story point goes, quintessential quintuplets was slightly more important. Maybe as like a fan, you might have liked what happened in Horimiya a little bit more, or as a fan of slice of life or romantic anime, you might have. But I think in general, for the longevity of the story, I think quintessential quintuplets was more important.
Yeah, that was more character development as opposed to a relationship development.
I don't think either one would give us a very long topic. It's not going to be like a 20-minute discussion, but you know, we like the show, so we're going to talk about it for a couple minutes anyways. So yeah, this episode was episode number 7. Did it have a title?
Yes, quintessential quintuplets, begin the offensive.
Okay, so let me tell you why I liked this. Let me start by telling you why I like where the show's going. I like that we're dealing with the romance finally, because so many like things.
They dance around it usually.
They dance around it, yes. So obviously throughout this season now, we've seen characters slowly come to realization that they are in fact in love with the main character. But finally, like we already know that, but I love when the main character starts learning that too. And like we've seen it go progressive. So I'm pretty sure we knew like Miku from like season 1. There was just a point in season 1 where
Miku was number 1 in that regard.
And then I'd say next would have been what, Ichika?
Ichika would have been probably second, yeah.
I'd say at least like strongly hinted. And then third would be Nino, who was definitely the most recent. Yeah. But at least because of her personality alone, it kind of makes sense. For instance, as like Miku might be the one. Yeah, Miku might be the one that likes him first, but because of her personality, it's going to take her like extremely long to admit it.
She's too withdrawn. Ichika's was kind of holding back because she didn't want to step on Miku.
And then, but because of Nino's personality of being like bold, assertive, mainly focused on herself a lot of times too. Yeah. Even though she's the most recent discover she likes him, she also then almost immediately tells him. Yeah. It's just her like personality. Not to mention some of the guts on her in this episode, like the hot spring moment.
Yeah, the moment she just walked in, like at least it was a mixed bath, so it wasn't that weird.
Yeah, it wasn't that weird, but she's like, "Yeah, want me to wash your back?" And he's just like, "Which one are you?" She gets a little offended. God. But okay, so the reason that this episode specifically we want to talk about instead of Horimiya is because there's a couple interesting plot developments. Obviously, the main part of this is that Nino kind of decides that she loves him, and then there's the whole they all happen to win a trip, a classic hot spring trip with families.
Yeah, I mean, I think like Uesugi actually won it. I think their case is their father just won it.
They did say I also thought that because they mentioned that they have a grandpa who owns a place in the spring. Yeah, but they did mention at one point that we won as well. They literally said that.
Well, I think Uesugi said that before he heard about the grandfather. So
maybe it's just like his perspective.
Yeah, because I think that'd be a one too many coincidences.
It's anime, all coincidence. As soon as they showed a competition, I'm like, imagine how big of a twist it would be if no one won. It like shows this competition in the grocery store for like a spring, what do they call it? A hot spring trip, and no one won in an anime. I'd be like, wow, my mind would have been blown. But obviously that didn't happen. But I liked the Uesugi, meeting the father again. The little combo there is always funny.
Just the ice cold staring him down, just like, no, you are not getting near them.
Yeah, and then the important parts is the episode picks up from last episode, so they're still celebrating. The main character goes and he picks up Nino. They all go back, and then at the cake shop, Nino finally she decides that she loves him. On the bike, she tells him.
Yeah, she confesses on the way, but he doesn't hear it.
He doesn't hear it because it's anime, and I thought 100%. I'm like, okay, this is a classic. She said it. He doesn't hear it. No big deal. We'll wait till later to bring this up again. And she realizes he doesn't hear it. She storms away. And then she just immediately walks back in. She's like, nope, I love you. And he's like, oh, fuck. Yeah. So that was very different than most anime, but that's just because that's how Nino works. That's her personality. Yeah. So it makes sense. But of course, Ichika did overhear this. And then starting,
I think Ichika was on the verge of confessing as well.
She mentioned that Miku was going to confess if she was the top grades, and then she's like, "Does that mean that I can do it? Yeah, I was top."
She was looking for an excuse, then Nino just swooped in.
Yeah. So obviously from there, what happens is Uesugi kind of notices that they're all acting kind of weird around him. After that, and then when he goes on when he goes on the hot spring trip, for instance, he's trying to make conversations with some of them, and they're all acting a little bit weird. Ichika's he tries to talk to her, she kind of ignores him a little bit. Miku's even being a little distant. Nino's just acting weird in a different sense. She's
Yeah.
not at all ignoring him, but she's being nice to him more than normal.
She's being a little aggressive.
Yeah, she's being assertive, and like, so they're all acting kind of weird, and he kind of notices that. And then he receives a letter from, I think, Itsuki, right, saying meet me in the courtyard at this time. He goes down to meet her. I think it's a little bit early. He runs into her, and she basically says like, hey, like, you should stop tutoring us. Like, we should no longer like be doing this, that kind of thing. Like, I think she just said like it's good for everyone kind of situation.
Yeah.
And he's just like, wait, what? And he like grabs her, like pushes her against the wall, and then the fucking hot spring grandpa comes up and just takes him out. And then so you're originally like, okay, like that's kind of fucked. Like, why? Obviously they're not done yet. They haven't taken final exams. They're not done school.
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember before that too. He was trying to talk to her, and she kept appearing in different random places.
Yeah, she kept just like vanishing and disappearing, that kind of stuff. Almost looking like she was like avoiding him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after that conversation, then it shows like the next scene is when when he goes to the hot springs.
Yep.
Itsuki's there and he's trying to talk to her. Nino comes in and that's where he does the whole like, who are you? She gets pissed, runs away, and then that's where Itsuki reveals that it wasn't her.
Yeah.
So it wasn't her who said that. She's like, you know what? Like, but at least she did what I thought. So when I first thought Itsuki, when he ran into her, said that, I thought she was going to be like, we should stop having like this like student teacher relationship. We should just be friends. That's where I thought she was going to go downstairs, but she didn't. And then in this one, the real Itsuki
That's where it went.
But the question then for us is, who was it? Because okay, let me give you my logic.
Okay.
So the one thing I don't know whether or not to ignore is the hair. Okay, right? We obviously know hair color doesn't matter, but this is not only perfectly replicating Itsuki, the hair length and everything. So you'd obviously rule it anybody who doesn't have the proper hair length would only leave you with Miku. But I don't believe it's Miku. There's got to be a wig or something in play because I think it's Ichika, and I'll explain why right now. I think Ichika, after seeing Nino confessed and realizing that she loves him as well and that her sister loves him, realizes that this relationship between them all is doomed. Realizing that there's no proper way for this to go without completely destroying multiple of her, either really hurting herself or hurting one of her sisters in any sort of sense. And she realizes that, having 5 of your sisters love the same guy is not going to end up well for anybody because, eventually either no one's getting picked or he's picking one and then the other 4 are heartbroken. So I think it's Ichika. I haven't quite figured out the whole how she got a perfect wig of her sister situation.
See, I know what's going on from when I
Jimmy,
read.
this is why you're not allowed to read the manga things.
This is back when I didn't think this was getting a second season, and well before we ever thought about doing a podcast.
I feel like I knew this was getting a second season when I watched it.
I know, but I
was like, this is quality.
I'm used to series I love not getting any attention for a long time. Like I still am waiting for Grimgar Fantasy and Ash to get another season.
It won't. It was
I know.
Destroyed by Konosuba, sadly.
Fucking Konosuba. But I'm trying not to spoil anything, but I get what you're saying. And like, it not being Itsuki, I think is pretty obvious.
Yeah. I would love to say that it could only be Miku because she's the only one with like obviously we ignore the hair color because that's a stylistic choice. And in the situation, if we're supposed to believe it's Itsuki, then the hair color is going to match.
But the thing is, Uesugi's missed it on hair length on the past.
It's true, but we weren't directly looking at this from his perspective. And
I think everything we see is kind of through his perspective.
Every other time we've seen a different character portray one of the other ones, it still has they still have proper hair length.
True.
So unless like that's why they're like specifically hair has been covered up with towels before to make it, or like we saw them pretend to be like Yotsuba, but like with like the slightly wrong hair length and stuff like that. Even if we ignore color, the length has still always mattered. So unless they had like a wig or something, which is possible, or finally my other guess, secret sixth. Okay, Hear me out. Hear me out.
First of all, they'd have to change the name of the show.
Hear me out. I don't actually think it's a
quintessential sextuplets.
I don't actually think that. But I'm thinking, what if they have a cousin? Okay. Hear me out. What if they have a cousin who looks a lot like them in the same sense, which is actually Rena, not one of the 5 girls we ran into earlier. And why the cousin's there? Well, that's simple. Grandpa owns the hot spring. Cousin's visiting Grandpa at hot springs. It all makes sense. It all checks out. That's why.
I want to correct everything you said so much.
Obviously, these are bold theories, but these are the theories that need to be said. But yeah, I mean, that's like the big question from this. And then obviously we see Itsuki in the hot spring have the conversation. Like, we're not just teacher and student anymore.
Yeah.
I think it's time that we, call each other friends. Usugi has a little flashback of, her basically being a bitch from the first season. Her character was like, I feel like she had to be less of a bitch the second season because Nino was more important, and they're like, okay, wait, we can't have two sisters whose personalities bitch.
Yeah.
So like let's change her up a little bit.
I mean, I think Itsuki was more not wanting to deal with this guy who's a jerk to her on the first day of school, and that kind of just wore off over time. Well,
Yeah.
Nino was just more inherently a bitch.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't care how nice she is now; she's still drugged him.
Yeah, she has like twice, I think, at least twice,
At least
more.
twice, yeah.
But you know, I like assertive Nino. I'm a fan of that because once again, I did not predict the fact that I obviously as soon as she said I love you on the bike, I'm like, okay, simple anime math here. He didn't hear it. She realizes that he didn't hear it, and then nothing's ever solved by that. You know, we just keep going. But then the fact that they showed that and she like walked away, and I'm like, there it is. And then they are like, no, fuck that. And then she walked back in. I was like, okay, this is good. This is quality.
That's development.
For the first time, the main character realizes that one of them loves him. And originally, he's like, none of these girls could like me. So now in his mind, it's possible that the rest of them like him too. At least that possibility's opened up. Not to mention with the whole Ichika knowing that one of them has actually confessed now. You know, she's going to be like, oh, was I too late? Oh, like, but also think about how this is going to hurt like Miku.
I mean, the thing is, she knew that Miku would be hurt if she confessed and she was debating it. So I don't think she's that.
But at
worried
least
about
Miku got a worse grade than her, you know? Nino got a worse grade than Miku, so she's not allowed to confess by the rules of grade confessing. Either way,
I get what you're saying. I don't know if she's going to actually think about it that way. But
so a lot of it comes down to Usugi is talking with Itsuki, and he's like, we got to figure out who this was, who was the mystery one pretending to be you, and why did they do this kind of thing? Like, were they set up by like your father kind of thing to do this, or what's the situation? Because they're just not into it, and that's like the mystery now that is set up. That's why I thought this episode this week was important to talk about, because in the next upcoming episodes we have this mystery to solve. So
yeah.
I don't know. I like the episode because I like when we actually, have characters confessing that works. And obviously she's like, you don't have to give me an answer, because he wouldn't give her an answer because we have no idea how he actually feels.
I mean, it's also very typical anime. If they ever do confess, they're very much like, you don't have to give me an answer so they can flesh it out for the next like 4 episodes.
Unless it's like the season finale, then maybe an answer will be given.
Yeah, in which case it's usually just taken for granted that they're going to accept. And
yeah, but yeah, I just like that it was actually done. I obviously love whenever we go to Hot Springs. You got cucked a little bit because all their families were there. Unfortunately, it wasn't just like all the 6 of them are stuck in a hot spring together. Sadly.
I mean, there's still time.
There's still time, yeah. But there's also a question about like, why is like Yotsuba acting weird to him? Like, what is she, like? I can see why Nino's acting weird because she confessed.
If you remember, Yotsuba wasn't specifically being weird about him. She said, "I don't know if I'll be able to do it." So there's a task she's worried about, not him.
Yeah, but like that's her task right now. At least you can understand why Nino, Ichika, maybe even like Miku would be acting weird about something right now in the situation that we know. But like Yotsuba's kind of whatever she's acting weird about is unrelated to the knowledge, like the information we have. So it's kind of strange.
I mean, not to the knowledge you have. But
okay, yeah, sorry, just to the knowledge I have. But yeah. So that's probably it for Quintessential Quintuple. It's just a quick touch up on it, just to see where it's going in case we have to talk about any more episodes.
I mean, this is a huge arc, so I'm really excited to see how they handle it. But
I'm excited to see how they handle it too. I'm looking forward to next week. Hopefully, we get a continuation of Hot Springs drama. But yeah, that's it for Quintessential Quintuplets. If you have any theories, if you also think there's a secret sextuplet, you just let me know down below. We'll agree on it together. And I don't know if we'll be talking about it next week, but we'll definitely be talking about it in an upcoming week whenever something important happens. So keep an eye out.
Yeah.
Okay, next up on the list, a big one. Jujutsu Kaisen episode 19.
Is it? No, you skipped Kumo.
Kumo Desu episode 7.
God damn it, man. Springtime for Princes?
Okay. The reason I went right to Jujutsu Kaisen is because I'm fucking pumped to talk about it. But let's
know,
talk
me
Kumo
too.
Desu.
I'm pumped for this one too a little bit.
It's true. What happened in this episode?
In this episode, we got mostly a human episode.
Oh, yeah. We got the camping trip.
Yeah.
We got a little bit from Kumiko, but...
Yeah, Kumiko is really more her going through skills and investing in a couple different things.
Yes, because, once again, whenever they show us her skill page now, it's just a fucking mile long. But I think the main reason they're showing Kumiko going through skills is because the information the teacher tells us at one point, which is like, hey, don't like level up that much. Like, don't get too many skills kind of thing. And she said it's like a warning, and then it's almost like a pride thing, right? Like, because we see even the bad human character we see in this is
Hugo.
like all he cares about is like leveling up, getting more skills and stuff like that. And that's kind of like one of his downfalls, and he ends up getting it all taken away.
Because he had a huge ass list of skills, including things like Emperor, magic resistance, poison resistance, like Magic Warfare 3 and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, and we're hearing a precautionary tale from the teacher being like, "Hey, don't do this." Like as if like there's something we don't know that's like a downside if you have all these skills. And then it just goes over to Happy Kumiko talking about all these skills she has, and you're like, "Oh,
I've
okay,
got
like
this now, and I've got this now, and I've got this now."
yeah." You're like, "Okay, this whole episode is just set up as a dark foreshadowing to something that has
Well, I
to do
mean, the
with number of
teacher
skills.
obviously knows something we don't.
The teacher obviously knows a lot that we don't.
Yeah, because we saw with the resolution of the big fight between our human protagonist and Hugo, she just erased all his stuff.
Yeah, like de-leveled him, erased his skills.
Well,
his
I don't think
stats.
she de-leveled him.
Well, I don't know. She
just-
took away stats and
Yeah,
skills.
so he's now like a level 31 with like level 1 stats.
I mean, even at the end of this, we see that he's still not dissuaded, and we get an introduction of a character who I'm going to assume is a human form of a monster, if I had to guess.
That'd be one thing, but she is a reincarnation too.
Yeah, but the information we got that was important in this episode, especially, was the teacher kind of discussing the students.
Yeah.
Being like, there's this many of you. There's already like these people are confirmed dead, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, and then she's like, and then there's like these other three, and then the girl's like, oh wait, so can we assume like the other three then are like monsters? And she's like, I'll never tell.
Yeah, it's a secret. It's like
So
over
yeah,
and
we're
over
gonna
again.
assume that the other three are monsters. Obviously, Kumiko being one of them, and two we do not know. And
Yeah.
then since this girl shows up at the end, who is a reincarnation, I'm gonna guess that she is a monster who is, a human form.
She's evolved to the point where she's gained that human-like ability. So
Yeah. So we always still wonder if Kumiko's gonna get a human form. I'm sure she will at some point, or like I don't know. I always want to think of like reincarnated as a slime, kind of switch back and forth. Mainly probably staying in like the spider form.
yeah, I think we're gonna get more of like Arachne style. Maybe like definitely not super sexualized. I'm hoping,
I'm hoping.
but more of like like the spider people from Demon Slayer.
Okay, yeah, that I can see. Or like just has some like the legs or something come out every now and then, but not all the time. Like maybe she has like two arms, but then sometimes gets
Like a shifting
multiples come out.
form style.
Yeah, like Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of the important information was on the human side, so we're learning more about these students that we don't know, giving us hints for the future. And then obviously, I feel like most of the episode was just this like setup for the whole issue with having too many skills. And yeah, they go on a fun little camping trip, and it turns out really well for everybody. Yeah, obviously we knew Hugo was going to be a dick anyways.
Yeah, I mean, just the sheer level of blatant evil in this episode from him was almost cartoonish.
Yeah, it's true. Like obviously he's jealous. He like in his mindset it's like this world is meant for me. He's like, I was reincarnated, so it's obviously my world. It's like, yeah, but so were like 30 other people with you. So why can it not be all of your worlds
Yeah,
then?
I mean, they kind of established he was a dick in the other world too. So
yeah, but I mean a real world dick without powers
I mean,
is very different.
He makes you think of almost like Bakugo. I almost feel like he would actively call people extras.
Yeah, probably.
So,
But yeah, so his plan is, he kind of is going to he let loose a powerful monster with his goons in the school, and then he was going to kill the main character. What's the main character's name? Shun? Do they call him Shun? Like Shun?
I think so. He's got two names. That's why I have a hard time remembering it. Because I'm trying, like, they use his in-world name, they use his non-in-world name.
Yeah.
I think it's Shun or Shu or.
Yeah, fuck. I just had his in-game name on the tip of my tongue.
No.
But then I lost it. But yeah, I think they call him Shun anyways. Obviously, Faye wasn't allowed on this trip because there was like no familiars. You have to learn to survive on your own kind of thing. Because she probably would have. I don't know if she would have kicked his ass, but we already know that the monsters have higher stats, especially since she evolved. So yeah, I assume she would have been slightly more detrimental to Hugo's plan.
Yeah, definitely. She'd probably be on par with whatever monster he was letting loose. So
I kind of thought that my guess when the episode started to where it was going to go was that while Hugo was fighting him and he wasn't going to stand a chance, he was going to use his skill points like while he was fighting.
that's what I was expecting.
That's what I was expecting. Because it's mentioned that he has all these skill points and he doesn't actually use them, and that's what Hugo's like. You're so fucking stupid. Like, why would you not use these? Like, this is why I'm so strong.
You have all this potential growth and you're just throwing it away effectively.
Yeah, but, I thought that, midway he was going to be holding him off with a sword, and that's where he puts in his skill points, and then he kind of fights back. But instead, the teacher just comes out and just absolutely fucks Hugo, just takes him out. Says, like, hey, your whole plan's fucked. We already captured your friends. We killed the monster you let loose. Like, a couple people were hurt, but no big deal. And then she, I don't know if she has a specific name for it or something, but
I don't think she used a skill name or anything like that, but she put her hand on his head, said, will you let me do this? His eyes glassed over, he said yes, and then she took away everything.
Yeah, so she just like took away his stats. They went down to like, I think like 80s. They were like 70s.
30.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, really cucked then. And yeah, so he's obviously not very happy with that. The final scene in the episode was him still being pissed.
Yeah.
He was just in a room, still mad. He had like his swords thrown into walls and shit like that, getting really angry. And then someone appears, a famale by the looks of it.
Yep.
A lady appears, being like, "Hey, you know, like, do you want revenge? Because I'm down to help you." And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I don't give a fuck if you're a demon or anything." He's like, "But I want revenge."
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wonder if we're gonna get to see more human, or if they're gonna take
Well,
a couple episode break.
There is one other thing that happened.
What's there?
Do you remember Kumiko talking about her skills, saying, "I wish there was a skill you got from
Oh
getting this"?
fuck yeah. She's like, yeah. She basically says like she wishes that there was it was like the pride one, but it was something of wisdom instead.
Yeah, like oh god, Paragon of Wisdom or something like that.
Yeah, she was leveling up like her detection.
Yeah, she maxed it all over.
She maxed out like
skills.
Appraisal too, and she's like, oh, it's kind of shit that like appraisal doesn't evolve once you level that up, and you know it's kind of shit that there's not like
she maxed out the skills, and she said, well, when I maxed out this skill, it gave me a different skill. Why didn't this one?
And she's like, yeah, why is there no like ruler of wisdom or something skill? You know,
I think that's actually the title of it.
And then then it's like, oh, request your request has been like heard or some shit.
Yeah, Administrator D has heard your request and has provided skills X, X, and X.
Yeah.
They've been added to your skill list, and she's just like, wait a second, what?
Yeah, and then she kind of gets freaked out. She's like, wait a minute. She's like, I've been thinking of this like the game, but does this mean there's like just like someone watching me? So there's like a fucking NPC look or an administrator looking at her all times, be like, oh, she wanted that skill. Guys, can you quickly hit the button and let her have those skills, I guess? So yeah, she gets a little bit freaked out.
Yeah, she has an existential crisis over this because she realizes like this.
That would be like me one day. I'm going to the fridge. I'm like, fuck, man, I'm out of Sprite, and then I just hear God's voice like, no big deal, Cam, I got you. Take this, my man. And I get like a Sprite in my hand. I'm like, thanks, God. Like that's the equivalent of what happened, except for I would actually like throw the Sprite on the ground. Like, what the fuck? But yeah, she panics a little bit. Obviously, that has a lot of world building implications that we're not quite able to handle yet because it's just too much information.
Yeah, because it kind of really begs the question, like, is this a game world? Is this some sort of artificial world? And if so, how did they end up here?
Yeah, I don't know. All we know is there was like an explosion. It wasn't even it wasn't like a earthquake or like a rock fell on them all and they died and went to this other world. There was something.
It was not a natural disaster. It looked like someone blew them up.
Yeah, so those are big questions that I don't think we're going to get the answer to in this season at all.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Kumiko's going to be asking some questions in the next episode.
I feel like that she's funny and this show kind of gets it, and in the next episode she's just not going to give a fuck anymore. It's going to be like her panicking and be like, I can't do anything about it, so why care? And then she's going to get up and continue on.
Yeah, and there's also the little interaction between her mental mind and her body mind.
Yeah, those are always funny.
They're talking about their skills. It's like, wait a second, can I use telescopic vision with cursed eye?
Well, yeah, the fucking cursed eye was OP as shit.
Yeah, just looked at something and it just died.
Killed the frog, and then she made a point being like, wait a minute. She's like, why don't we get all the skills eventually? I have all these eyes. And she's like, you're a genius.
Yeah, I especially like the fact that she's just like openly, I can just go full Chuny on this and just play up the cursed eye elements.
Yeah, that's the classic. Yeah, the show does a really good job at like some of the comedy moments, that's for sure. And that's why I think that they're gonna like kind of comedy it off in the next episode, and she's gonna be like, oh well, she's like, something I can't really handle right now mentally.
I mean, we are getting a little bit more drama now, especially considering Hugo's going evil from the looks of it.
It's true, but I like her drama. I feel like she always gets over her drama fast. You know, she just
I think she has to. I think it's a coping mechanism.
She just moves on fast. There was also one important piece of information. Once Hugo got all of his skills erased, he had a specific stat or skill listed, which was that N1% thingy.
Yeah, he looked at that. I guess the value had been dropped,
which is the same thing that Kumiko has. Someone pointed that out like way earlier on, that she mentioned it briefly, and she's like, I don't know what that means. And she has the same thing on her like stat page or something.
It was either something about their growth rate or something about their interaction with the system or the world.
Yeah, so that's probably really important, but we do not have enough information to process that.
I'm going to double check that after this. I'm actually really curious about that.
But yeah, I did notice that in the episode. I was like, okay, that's something she has. So that's obviously a hint that's going to be, you know, this series has a shit ton of foreshadowing.
N% equals evil. That's all we know.
But yeah, right now we literally don't comprehend any of the foreshadowing, really. That's why we like the small hints in there.
Yeah,
which is useful. But
I mean, the only other thing I can think of is the person that was talking to Hugo at the end. I'm pretty sure they're tied to that Demon Lord character.
Probably.
So I feel like we're going to get him completely switching sides at this point.
Well, I mean, since he specifically, like he mentioned, he's like, I don't even care if I have to work with a demon. I'm like, well, that just seems like that's a specific line because you're gonna end up working with the demon.
Just like looking at him, just like, why would you say that? Like, what makes you assume I'm a demon?
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I think we're gonna take at least an episode break away from the human side, and we're gonna get Kumiko exclusive next time.
Yeah, we're probably gonna get Kumiko playing out with her new skills and probably going up to the next stratum.
I find that there wasn't a post-credit scene because there was no credits this time.
No, there wasn't.
I think it just went by, and then the Hugo thing was like the post-credit scene as if there were credits.
Yeah, because I mean, it was really weird this week because I mean, ReZero had a credit scene, but credits and Kumiko didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. That's like so many anime these days. I have to be reminded to look after the credits. I'm like, why can't they just put it before the credits and save me all that effort? I blame Marvel.
I mean, I feel like anime was doing this a long time ago.
I still blame Marvel.
Like, I still remember watching like Kurokami back in the day, and just like, where did he get this ring? And someone was like, oh no, there was an after credit scene. It's like,
typically a lot of shows they just put the after credit scenes, and then they'd start the next episode with that scene anyways. But a lot of the modern anime doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah,
which is what makes it hard.
They want you to sit through their credits.
Yeah, I don't know. Good episode though. Obviously, this episode probably had so much world building and foreshadowing that we just cannot comprehend. We can look at it and acknowledge that that's going to be something. But to actually be to guess what that's going to be, we do not have enough information.
Even just having the information that skills kind of corrupt you and make you go just a little bit batshit, I think that's huge in terms of this.
I mean, I just love how it's like she's really, really like, this is a serious conversation. She's like, listen, do not level, like, don't go too far, don't get too many skills. And then it just like switches over to Kumiko, just like looking at her list, be like, fuck yeah, look at all my fucking skills. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's great.
Like, my big question is Kumiko going to end up meeting these people and they're going to be like, make sure you don't have a bunch of skills, and just going to be like,
yeah, I don't even have that many. Don't use appraisal on me, please.
How many is a lot?
But yeah, I mean, she really doesn't have a reference point of this, so I don't know. I'm still excited. I do hope we get an exclusive Kumiko episode, because even though we got all this important world building, we missed out on a lot of the Kumiko stuff.
The human side of the things are interesting, but Kumiko is what we come for.
Yep.
So
yeah. So yeah, like always, if you have any thoughts, opinions, that kind of stuff on Kumo Desu, leave them down below. Yeah. Everyone's been really good at putting spoiler tags and leaving them deep enough below that people can choose if they want the spoilers or not.
Yeah, we haven't had anything kind of thrown at us.
People don't like, they actively don't want stuff to be spoiled for us.
Yeah, we're here specifically because we don't know what's going on.
Yeah. So yeah, once again, I mentioned before, but yeah, someone in the, I can't remember, his name might be No Ground or something like that. He's commented in the Reddit a few times and on the YouTube videos. I think he might be a Kumo Desu mod. But yeah, he's the one who said it, I'm going to share this with the Discord.
Awesome.
And so yeah, thanks a lot. Obviously, if we had that many active like mods in other subreddits that were helping us out, that would be crazy good. But unfortunately, every other subreddit we're just slowly getting banned from. So
apparently, yeah.
Yeah, we're really, it's our channel right now is just being lifted above by the Kumo Desu subreddit. So it's going to be really sad when this anime ends. Luckily, we're only 7 episodes into. I think it's going to be 25. I don't know if they're going to take a mid break at some point, but
I really hope we go the full 25 and then get immediately a second season announced.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, judging off the popularity, I'd say definitely a second season will happen. Hopefully, as long as they keep up the quality. But yeah, I mean, even a lot of the light novel and manga readers are like worried there's not going to be a second season. They're like, oh yeah, this may never even happen. So, I hope it gets a second season.
I feel like everyone's always worried about, like, a series you love, you're always worried it's not going to get more content.
Yeah.
So I think that's just a natural reaction when you see something like this. So
yeah, either way, I'm just excited to see where the show goes. So yeah, leave us a like down below. Comment something about Kumo Desu. I don't really even have to ask you guys to do that. People are always going to comment about Kumo Desu anyways.
You guys have been amazing. So,
but yeah, of course. And thanks for watching. We'll see you guys again next week for Kumo Desu.
We will.
Now, next up, Jujutsu Kaisen episode 19.
Black Flash.
Okay, so let's talk about this. This is the Demon Slayer episode 19.
Yeah.
All over again.
It is.
I've heard not. Okay, so I knew that when I watched it. When I watched it, and I was like, I was watching the beginning part of the fight between Itadori and what's the fuck's his name, Todo.
Yeah.
When I was watching that beginning of the fight, I was just like, people are going to be talking about this. I knew it. I was like, people are going to be talking about this goddamn episode. And then since they just recently had like the Crunchyroll Anime Awards.
Yeah.
And it actually won Anime of the Year, which a lot of people are mixed opinions about because, it won Anime of the Year in 2019 and it only had 11 episodes out at that point or something.
I mean,
so mixed feelings about it. But I know since then I've heard people in like comments of all the Crunchyroll Anime Award videos being like, yo, have you guys seen episode 19 though? And I'm like, yeah, I have. It was good.
It is.
Discussion about it. So basically, it starts off with them kind of getting their asses kicked. We see, I think his name's Kano. It's like the guy who uses the blood.
Yeah, Kano.
Him, the voice user, and Megumi are still all kind of fighting him, not having tons of luck.
Yeah, voice user is Inumaki, I think.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to call him Onigiri, but I'm pretty sure it's Inumaki.
Yeah, Saki, I believe, is the weapons girl.
Yep.
She shows up, and then obviously the fight goes a little bit better because she still kicks ass.
Yeah.
At one point she pulls out the I don't know what the hell you'd actually call them.
Staff.
The 3-section staff. She mentions that this is a special grade weapon, and that cursed weapons are sorted like everything else. So this is a special grade one. She starts absolutely dominating. Her and Megumi kind of team up to do some really cool combo attacks. Yeah. And it's all going well until, Megumi has his little flower inside of him that's slowly like sucking out his cursed energy the more he uses.
Yeah, I think it's something that's specifically digging into him the more he uses cursed energy. It's not that it's draining it. It's that it's stabbing him if he uses it.
Yeah, and then, while he's then about to be attacked, Saki has to go over and help him. And luckily she's so fast, the root thing, like the stab was aiming right for her heart, and she turned her shoulder just to catch it. Yeah. But because of that, she is weakened. And then it's looking like everything's kind of about to go bad. I think Megumi's about to like try and literally physically rip this thing out of him.
Yeah, he specifically said, even if it rips out my stomach, I'm going to do this so I can keep fighting. So
yeah, so you're like, oh, this ain't going well. But yeah, then just in time, Todo and Itadori show up.
Yeah, straight up superhero landing.
Yeah, when you fucking see that in the episode, you're like, oh shit's about to get real. And I actually genuinely thought that this is where they were going to cut to Metal Grandpa fighting Blacksmith. But they didn't. It was just them for the rest of the episode, and I was okay with that. But I don't know if I've had an anime episode I've wanted to end less since the start of the season.
I understand what you're saying, because this was just spectacular the moment that fight started.
Even comparing to like some of the big Attack on Titan fights early in the season, like with him fighting the Warhammer Titan, stuff like that. That shit was really epic. But I don't think when this episode ended, I wanted an ending. I wanted it less. I was like, no, thank you. I'd just like to continue this to episode 20 right now, please and thank you. Because it was just crazy. Obviously, the two of them fight. You get crazy good animation. The teamwork and the choreography between the two of them fighting is already insane. They're like perfectly in sync.
Yeah.
And then the fucking comedy of like the two of them talking to each other. It's like, you got this, brother. And he's like, thanks, brother. And like, since the last time we saw them, they've obviously been like kind of training / fighting each other. But Itadori has come full circle around. Originally, he's like, oh, like, why are you calling me best friend? Like, you're kind of weird and that kind of. Yeah. Now he's just like, no, fuck it, I'm full in.
He's leading straight into it, and we got to see a brand new technique from him taught to him by Todo.
We did, and it's actually not exclusive to him. Todo specifically mentions that other people can do this, but like the percentage of it succeeding are ridiculously low.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a technique. It's almost a freak occurrence that you get to pull off, and you just get a massive power boost off of it.
But because Itadori is so fucking good, he just hits it. So the first time he goes in. And he fails, he goes in, he fails, and Todo kind of goes over, slaps him as like, you failed because like you're angered, it's making you rush a little bit more. You need like perfect timing to do this. You got to let go of that anger. Then Itadori like, looks up and he's like, thanks, you're right, I'm good. But then Todo slaps him again anyways. I'm just for the record. And then it shows like the demon lady, because I'm pretty sure it's a female.
I think it's implied. I think it's supposed to be more asexual than anything
I guess
else,
it is a curse, so it hasn't self-identified as gender to us, but it's like, are they fighting? Are they like friends? What's going on here? But I don't know. Yeah, their teamwork is just insane. They're doing like really, really well. Even the animation is like run along the roots, dodging shit and fight.
Oh yeah, this is penultimate animation for this. Like I don't think they've done anything quite like this in the past.
I think the closest probably would have been the for animation would have been Gojo versus Sukuna.
Yeah, the very first episode.
Yeah, like really, really. I think that might have been episode 2.
Oh yeah, I guess it would have been first episode to establish everything.
But really, really early on, and then obviously when you think back, you think about like the Gojo versus the volcano guy. But that wasn't animation; that was like visual,
it was
like
imagery.
Directing. Yeah, it was like different kind of really, really stunning thing. But yeah, it was just insane. Obviously, then the curse just drops the roots and they fall, and they're like, haha, I get defeated by height. But then they perfectly time their kicks, and it was just so good. But I mean, it was all like a fight. Let's be honest. It's hard. It's hard for us to deep dive. And be like, oh yeah, like and then this part happened.
Yeah, like we got to see a little bit of a power up, and seeing just the development between Itadori and Todo was definitely worth it. But this was definitely just quintessential shonen combat. Oh my god, moments.
Yeah, exactly. Like even it wasn't like crazy like powers being unleashed either, because Todo didn't use his ability once.
Nope.
I think at the very end he's like, I'm gonna use my ability now or something. Like, and Itadori used that. What the hell? It's literally the name of the title.
Black Flash.
Black Flash. He used that a single time. He didn't use he wasn't divergent punching or anything like that. It was just pure 100% physical fighting.
Yeah.
Which is insane to think that you have such a good fight that's just physical combat. Like we haven't really seen that very much, other than maybe God of High School early on.
Yeah, and that was all God of High School had. Let's face it.
Yeah, and even later they got a little bit insane with powers and stuff like that.
They did,
Obviously,
yeah.
much more flashy.
This was the scope of the plant life they were fighting with would definitely help this, because it gave them a lot more surface area to work with and a lot more kind of platforms to fight off of. But just seeing even the demon thing, I have to get serious, and then we see a big rosebud on the shoulder too that they never established.
Pull off the splint or the whatever the hell she's hiding the arm in.
Yeah,
big rosebud, black really cool looking arm.
Yeah,
obviously gonna level up.
Yeah,
I think Toto says right there near at the end, he's like, oh, it's time to start using my ability. Them synchronizing their attacks now with him clapping and teleporting like Itadori is gonna be fucking crazy.
Yeah, because you can see a little bit of it in the opening.
I don't even think I've watched the opening once. After they changed it from the last opening, but I haven't. I think I've only watched it the one time.
It's one of the ones I always watch, so I've noticed this a few times that you see Toto and Itadori fighting this demon in the opening, as well as Inomaki coming in, Megumi and all that. Mm-hmm. Which we didn't touch base on. Megumi actually got a new cursed spirit or a new Shikigami.
Did he?
Yeah, the big dog.
Oh, because you mentioned that when they're killed, they're not coming back, they're killed.
Yeah, but then they pass on the techniques to a new one.
Yeah, they pass on to a new thing. So yeah, I mean it seems strong, but this episode, even when we saw really really dope fighting from Saki, for instance, I mean it was all just,
I know, it all got blown away.
It all just became irrelevant as soon as Toto and Itadori landed.
I just wanted to say that so we had some record that we did acknowledge that he had one.
It's just so, I mean, and the fact is obviously this thing is now going full out, and we're seeing inner monologue about learning to love combat. Yeah, because this is obviously a more peaceful curse. One of its powers is literally to
rob
take
its
away
opponents of
your will of fighting, basically.
Yeah.
But we show flashbacks to Mahito explaining oh no, I found it now more than ever,
Yeah, and that was the moment he developed his domain too.
Yeah,
so.
and you'll find it too. So obviously, in this fight, it's gonna use its domain.
Yeah, which the big question is going to be: is Toto's technique going to counter this, or are we going to get something that's going to break this?
We might see Toto use whatever Toto's domain is. We have no idea if he even has one. We assume he probably does because he's really fucking good.
Yeah, because if established the only thing he's ever done is use one curse technique, and even that only against the most powerful opponents.
Yeah.
So, does this guy even need a domain?
I'm thinking that neither Itadori nor Toto use their domain. I think they just beat this thing in its domain. And I do think that they do actually need to defeat it. I don't want another Mahito situation where they mainly win the fight, but then it flees, because we can't keep doing that. At one point, one of these enemies actually needs to be defeated, because the volcano guy defeated but ran away. Mahito defeated but ran away. We need one to actually go down.
They might do it with this one, but have the blacksmith go down.
Yeah, we know nothing about the blacksmith at this point.
We know he wants to turn Gojo into a Korak. That's all we know.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know. I'm really hoping that the cursed thing summons its domain, big ass plant thing or something, and then Toto and Itadori beat it in the domain anyways, and they actually defeat it and finish it off. Maybe it goes in peace, makes a little tree where it dies, something cool like that. But I just want to see this fight continue, because I'm just imagining their synchronization now, but Toto just collapse, Itadori appears somewhere else, and they're just Itadori perfectly fits this even without even knowing where he's going to go, and it just becomes a perfect combo.
Because I think his technique is to swap the places of two creatures, not just teleport someone. So
that's all we've seen anyways.
Yeah,
obviously really early on, and we just assume it's his technique because it seemed most obvious at the time. But yeah, I don't know. Seeing the full extent of his technique will be really, really cool. And just I can only assume the animation next fight's also going to be insane.
I mean, I'm hoping if they keep this up, it's going to be an amazing, beautiful fight. But
yeah, I think a lot of people, with Demon Slayer, maybe not to quite the extent, but I think a lot of people are going to be coming out being like, yo, have you watched Jujutsu Kaisen yet? If not, check out this fight. People are going to be watching YouTube clips and then be like, hey, I should go watch this anime. It looks pretty dope.
Yeah.
It did actually win a lot of awards at the anime, like the Crunchyroll Anime Awards.
Yeah, I still haven't gone over the list yet, so...
I think they won the intro for the first one, Kaikaki 10 or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They won Anime of the Year, and they won Best Antagonist, actually, for Sukuna. Which I must admit, he's a pretty fucking badass antagonist. His personality, we haven't seen a lot from him, but what we've seen from him is man, when he like when he gets going, like he's fucking intense. Like,
Yeah. Like even just the moment when like Mahito was in his domain, he just backhanded him out of it. It's like, oh, okay.
yeah, the shit he's done is just really, really cool. So
Yeah.
it won like a pretty decent amount of awards. It was nominated, I think, in almost every single category,
That sounds about right.
which is strange because it did start in 2020, but it only finished. It only got its first arc there, which they were missing a lot of really, really dope stuff. Judging what we've seen so far, I think arc 2 is going to surpass arc 1. So.
I mean, definitely. I think this has the potential to become one of the next big shonen series, especially because we have Black Clover ending. Fire Force is kind of dead in the water
for now, unless they can really pick it up in season 3.
I mean, I hope. So I think this is going to kind of come up and fill up that void and become one of the major series. Yeah. And if they can keep this quality up, there's no doubt.
Yeah, I'm just excited to. I'm so excited for next week's episode. Everything on this list, it's definitely the one I'm looking forward to most next week. Which is saying something because I love Jujutsu Kaisen, but it's not always like the first thing I'd watch. It's pretty close. Like when it's Friday, I'm like, oh, I want to watch Jujutsu today. Yeah. But like normally, as I mentioned last week, I'm always like mostly excited of the week. I love Slice of Life. I'm actually like always super pumped for like quintessential quintuplets and
I get it.
like Mushoku Tensei. Those are some of the anime I'm actually looking forward to most. But right now, because of this episode, it's definitely Jujutsu next week.
Yeah, a hypey fight scene can just completely shift your focus in a series.
Like I'll be like looking up what exact time it comes out to watch it, like when it comes out. So yeah. Let us know what you thought about the episode. Obviously, if you agree that this episode was crazy hype and you're gonna be sending that fight to your friends and stuff like that, let us know down below because maybe we have another Demon Slayer on our hands.
Maybe
we're gonna have to wait to see. Okay, next up, second last on the list, Mushoku Tensei, episode number 7.
What lies beyond effort.
So not the most stunning episode compared to what we've seen. Obviously, the plot line for most of the episode was pretty, I don't know. It's about teaching a girl how to dance, in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of motivating her, and you also get to see a little bit of her swordplay progress. You also hear a little bit more about Roxy and our main guy's progress in his studies. But yeah, it's mostly just girl learns to dance.
Yeah, as far as other episodes are concerned, this one definitely wasn't like its pop-off episode, which isn't crazy. Not every episode needs to be great.
This was a world-building episode.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really showed a difference in the dynamic between the relationship between Rudy and Eris.
Yeah.
Because even by the end of this, like, obviously, we see that she is having still some difficulty in her studies. It's one of the first scenes they show, but
she wasn't beaten by it. She went back to it.
She wanted to drive a little bit more, and then obviously it goes into like one thing that she is now being defeated by is her ability to dance because her 10th birthday is coming up.
Yeah,
and it from what we know, anyways, right now it's like a custom to have a party to dance, all that kind of stuff. So she's trying to be taught. And their dance teacher person keeps coming up to Rudy, being like, "Hey, can you please help me with this?" Like,
Yeah, I need a little bit more time with her. I need you to motivate her. I need you to teach her. It's like,
yeah, and one of the first things, at least for Rudy's plot in this episode, is by getting the extra time, he decides he's gonna use his young child smart brain to learn languages,
which doesn't go that well.
No, so I mean, he picks up 3 additional languages: Beast God, Demon God,
and
Battle God, and he says that like.
Battle God is very close to human, so it's not that hard to learn.
Yeah, he says Battle God is pretty close to human. It's not that hard to learn. And Beast God is kind of hard, but he has Ghislaine to help him.
Yeah.
So it's not going that bad. But like Demon God, he's completely fucked on. Yeah. It's like it's nothing like the other languages at all. It's super difficult. And he's explaining this in like a letter to Roxy.
Yeah.
That he's going to send out. So he's just explaining like he's having difficulty. And then as Eris has difficulty in her dance practices, he uses this like she's like, oh, everything's easy for you, so you don't get it. And obviously, from our perspective and his, we're hearing about like shit wasn't easy for him in his first life.
Yeah,
right. No. The reason he tries so hard in this life is because he's learned, he's lived a failure's life and learned like, you know what, in this life I'm going to try hard. Yeah, but he can't tell that to her.
Yeah, he had that moment in the past where it was like, if only I had tried harder back then, my life would have been so much better.
Yeah. Which I mean, any realistic person has definitely thought about it at some point. If I'm like, I love tennis, for instance, I'm like, man, imagine if I went back and just convinced myself to play tennis when I was 6, who knows? I could have been I could have been playing tennis or like teaching tennis or something like those lines. And everyone's thought about that at some point in their life. So it makes sense that you're seeing a reincarnated person being like, hey, you know what? This time with this, big boy knowledge in my head, I'm gonna fucking succeed in something. But obviously you can't really use that to inspire her because you can't really tell her that. So instead he used the fact that like, hey, I'm fucking up on all these languages right now. Like even shit's hard for me, but like that's kind of what makes it fun, right? When I learn it, then it's going to make it so much better because of how much I struggled. And that's where she's like, fine, like come in, but like now he's got to help her dance. So we get like a little montage. Obviously it's going decently well. She's getting it a little bit more. She's always a little fast on the pace,
Yeah.
but at least she's kind of learning. And then we go right to like the birthday party. Nice big celebration.
Yeah.
At one point, the grandpa's like, okay, it's time for the main show. Like, you know, if you want to impress me, you know, like, or it's like, if you want
my favor, take my daughter's hand.
Granddaughter. If you want, yeah, it's like, if you want my favor, take my granddaughter's hand. And then you see like a noble father look at his son and be like, mm-hmm. And the son's like, got this, dad. And he goes up and, you know, tries to dance, and fucks up.
Yeah, Eris just doesn't get it. She isn't able to keep pace with him,
and that's where Rudy is like, oh fuck, like I got to do this. So he walks up, asks her to dance, and then you get the father being like, oh, now you've done it, Rudy.
Yeah,
and then
like my first thought when he did that is like, is there something more to this?
I mean, obviously he mentioned before, right, with the whole kidnapping. He's like, you know, we can't have you stand out that much. We have to say it was Ghislaine for multiple different reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that someone's always gonna ask like, whose son is that? Why is he here? Like, why was he?
100%. I think there's still something with the mom and Paul. They're setting it up more than they set up other issues with Paul that makes you almost think that maybe it's not a Paul related thing. Maybe goes deeper. This is something to do with the Gray Rat line. Why the mom seems to hate Rudy. But I'm still 100% betting that it's just something with Paul. And I also think that it's not that I don't think it's that like the Gray Rat line is gonna like, you know, be mad that like this Rudy's so successful kind of thing. I think that it's also going to be just related to like
it's Paul's son who's successful.
I actually think that Eris's father is going to be worried about Rudy's like success in like a sense. Like you even see in this, once this dance works out, all these like ladies come up to Rudy, and I think that like with like Rudy's talent plus his like looks and that kind of stuff, I think that the dad's actually worried about like Rudy being too successful for like his age and stuff like that. So he's like, now you've done it, Rudy. Like, you know, you've started this like issue now where everyone else is going to realize how good you are.
Yeah. Like my favorite line from him was like, if you do take one of them bed, use protection. It's like, he's like 8.
Yeah. What age in this world are you supposed to be having sex? Because the shopkeeper's trying to sell an 8-year-old an aphrodisiac thing. Like, and then
maybe puberty just kicks in really early here.
I mean, maybe, I guess, as we mentioned before, and like in typical medieval fancy things, you know, people are having children when they're like 13, 14, because that was, you know, you only live to 40. So maybe this world's semi-similar. But so we see Rudy step in. He helps her dance. The dance goes more successful by using her battle knowledge to help.
Yeah.
We all knew that was happening. That's a classic kind of tropey thing that they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, then obviously it makes Rudy pretty popular. A couple of girls come up, but then Eris kind of shows in, showing a little bit of jealousy, you know, taking him away. And then even like she seems to like him more after that.
Yeah, she definitely gravitates. Well, I mean, he basically saved her ass. So again.
Yeah, and then so after the party, it skips to he presents Eris and Ghislaine with the wand. And then, you know, Eris, then also like Ghislaine at one point gives Eris the ring, being like, you know, this ring is supposed to protect you from
evil wolves in the night.
Wolves in the night. And then Rudy's like, oh, so why do you think it's a superstition? She's like, well, this one night. And she starts explaining a story with Paul. And then Rudy's just like, nope, never mind.
It's like, I already know where this is going. Just stop.
And then it literally goes to the next morning where Rudy wakes up beside Eris and he's like, and he's going in for something and he sees the ring. He's like, I guess the charm worked this time.
Which my big question is like, why the hell was she in the same bed as him?
I think they had just slept there. I'm sure like Ghislaine was like on the floor or something. Or
probably, yeah. That was just a really random transition in my mind.
But yeah, so then it like Rudy wakes up and he hears something. So he goes up to the tower and it's just the grandpa just banging some like housemaid or something.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna lie, when I heard what was going, like when you hear the sounds, I'm like, it's gonna turn out like the mom's like cheating on the husband.
What I 100% thought that it was gonna be like Rudy walks in, sees the grandpa having sex with the mom.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was gonna be the grandpa. I figured it was gonna be the mom, but then it's like, oh no, it's just the grandpa banging a maid. It's like, oh, okay.
I genuinely thought it was like, even before they showed that it was the grandpa in the room, I thought it was going to be the grandpa having sex with the mom, and then Rudy. I thought it was going to be like a Game of Thrones situation. Grandpa takes Rudy, throws him out of the window.
Goddamn. Because even the scene where Rudy peeks around the window, you just kind of see the grandpa's waist. They don't show who he's with, so it's like,
But yeah, then I like it because like, you know, he like sends the woman away. He's like, oh, Rudy, and Rudy comes in. He's like, yeah, what's up? And he's like, oh, nothing. And like they just don't even give a fuck. They don't acknowledge the fact that he was just banging this chick. Both of them are just like cool with it.
Yeah, I mean, Rudy's is like, he seems pretty mellow. I guess this is what you need to calm him down.
Yeah, and then the grandpa's like, you see that up there, Rudy? And Rudy's like, yeah, I see that. And he's like, that's something. And Rudy's like, that is something.
It was something like this is something that's very bad or something.
He said that it's not bad. He specifically said that. He's like, oh, that ain't bad. And Rudy's like, sure. And I'm like, okay, good. We received no information about what this is.
Rudy just offers a prayer to it. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it really held no importance to us at all at that point. It didn't really seem like that mattered. And then, yeah, the only other thing I'd mention about the episode that was funny is Rudy, you know, sells his his perfectly made figure of Roxy.
I don't know if it was a perfectly made one. It might have been like one of the rejects.
No, he specifically mentioned that like was when Roxy says like even all the moles were in like the exact right place.
True.
So yeah, he sells that. He gets some
I'm
sort of
surprised he
coin for it.
sold it. That's why I'm confused.
And he could just make another one.
I mean, yeah, I guess once you get the mass production line down.
But yeah, then in the Roxy sends him a letter, and in the letter she's like, oh, like you're having trouble picking these things up. I actually ended up making you a textbook.
Yeah.
Homemade. She's like, I'd be very upset if I see this in the shop. So
Yeah.
don't do anything about it. She's like, I'm still here, teaching this dumbass prince. He actually just recently acquired this figure that looks just like me and has moles in all the right places, and he's doing weird shit about it.
Yeah. I think she specifically says, like, I think a curse might befall me soon, so I really hope that's not the case.
Yeah, and she's like, yeah, so take this book and it'll help you learn like demon gods. So she made him a nice textbook and all that kind of stuff, which is fun. It makes me wonder, like, this man got this statue and he's like, what am I gonna do with this? Hey, I know a kid in this kingdom that might like this, and like,
I think it kind of established a little bit of almost the world economics. I'm sure he sold it to a traveling merchant who sold it to someone else. And it probably just ended up in that scene. The kid saw it and immediately bought it.
Yeah, he's like, hey, wait a minute, that looks just like my teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's funny. Not really tons of importance, but at least it's a nice little funny setup. Yeah, and the episode was obviously not very important when it came to like plot and that kind of stuff. But at least we've got a little further development in Rudy and Eris's relationship.
Yeah,
which is kind of important because I feel like she's going to be more important as he ages too, as another one of his waifus. But the more I don't know, more crazy one.
I mean, there's always one.
That's true. But yeah, it was just not really important for story, but still a good episode. Still some important stuff in it.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about Mushoku is that it hasn't really given us any episodes that have no importance. Mm-hmm. There's no filler. It's just a lot of like world building or more actiony scenes. So.
Yeah, and I'm still like, even this, it had a couple different like little hints about the world building by seeing these other nobles and trying to get their sons to dance for favor, and like the importance of this dance in general. The dislike of Rudy from like the mother that still is questionable.
Yeah.
Even we get to see more of the prince that Roxy's tutoring. Possible reincarnation still, who knows?
I mean, she straight up lit him on fire too.
Yep. But yeah, so that kind of stuff is all important. Obviously next week I think we're going to be getting another like, I don't know, 3 month time skip maybe or something.
Yeah, because we got a little bit of a time skip here because it was like
it showed like winter, spring, summer, or something like that. Because it showed 3 different like variations of like that same tree with the snow, without the snow, then like a sunny one. And
they established it was like a 6 month away at the start, and then we ended up with the birthday party. So
yeah, so most episodes we're going to get a little bit of a time skip going ahead, which is nice. So yeah, I'm just excited to see where we go next week. I never really stay to see if there's a next time on it. I don't even check. Just wait till next week to see it.
I did check. I don't think there was one this week.
Okay, yeah. But either way, yeah. Excited to see it next week. If you like Mushoku Tensei, let us know down below. Yep. Let us know any theories you have, comments. Just, if you like it, if you're following along with it each week. And then,
Yeah, if you have any theories about why the mom doesn't like Rudy, let us know. And
it's Paul. Come on, guys. We all know. We all know why. We've heard so many different stories about Paul now at this point. We know he's coming in.
Hey, for all we know, it might be something with the mom having stolen Paul away.
I mean, maybe.
I guess it's still Paul in that case.
It's still Paul, yeah, no matter what. But yeah, that's it for Mushoku Tensei. So we'll be talking about episode 8 next week. So stay tuned.
Yep.
Okay, last up on the list is the big one, Attack on Titan episode number 70.
Deceiver.
So we knew this coming in last week. Most of this episode just follows along Gabby and Falco escaping, running into a family, staying with them. Gabby trying to deal with the fact that maybe the Eldians aren't as devilish as she thought.
Yeah, she
while
definitely
really trying to defy it. Yeah.
Yeah, she clung to that really hard. One thing that I think is worth noting is that the family was Sasha's family.
Yeah, and I think we have seen her father before, but he was like all cowboyed up really early on when he was training her. But I don't think we knew that he specifically takes in a bunch of orphans.
Yeah, I think this is tied to Historia because it's all talking about Historia's mandates to help orphan children. So it might have been either to fill in the void of their daughter having just died, or it might.
Yeah, we also see 2 very similar stories in this of characters who watched something happen when they were younger and are now characters doing something. In both the sense of the girl that Mikasa was talking to.
Yep.
Showed a flashback of her and her mom when Mikasa saved them from a Titan, and then also the blonde girl that's talking with Falco and Gabby, showing a perspective of her being young and seeing Sasha come in and save her, and now kind of time forwarding, kind of showing us there's a new generation.
Yeah, it's the idea of passing the torch, whether you want it to pass down or not. So
yeah, now obviously most of the episode focused around Gabby and Falco, and there's this like weirdness going on because obviously Gabby killed Sasha. Now Gabby is staying with Sasha's parents, and now she's also talking with this girl who is like, I want to be like this one girl who is the girl that Gabby killed, and it's just like this like weird little thing going on there.
Yeah, there's also the fact that this girl straight up called Gabby out. It's like, why is my mother evil?
Yeah, it's making Gabby kind of deal with some of the things that she just ignores, right? Like obviously Gabby's not stupid. To be one of these warrior candidates, you have to be both like pretty physically gifted and intelligent.
Yeah.
But she's been so brainwashed by Marley that she's having like trouble even accepting this. The girl's like, hey, why is it my mom's fault? And she's like, well, like your ancestors. She's like, that's our ancestors. Why is it my mom's fault? She's like, well, 4 years. She's like, well, you guys just attacked us. And she's like, my mom died 4 years ago. Why is that my mom's fault?
Yeah, and there's also the fact that Falco's is like, yeah, we kind of attacked them 4 years ago, and that's why your mom died. So.
Yeah, and like Falco once again is trying to at least be a best boy in a sense.
Yeah,
he is not only like constantly trying to. He gets mad at Gabby for murdering the guy who was just trying to help her when she was having a some sort of attack in the thing.
Yeah, like he probably knew he was going to get attacked. He probably didn't think Gabby was going to go that far.
Yeah, even then, like when they first run into this farm, Gabby picks up a rock. Falco looks a little bit sus of that. At the one point, she just gets ready to stab her with a pitchfork. Yeah. Falco comes in, stops that. Yeah. Falco gives away secret information, according to Gabby, that she didn't need to tell her, and she doesn't need to apologize.
Which, I mean, the fact of the matter is, I think most of Paradise Island knows about that at this point.
It's not really fucking secret anymore. Yes, of course they attack to get ready to eventually attack again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's we've seen Falco, even though he was like betrayed, you could say, by Eren, he still at least does not have the same opinion. He's not as brainwashed as Gabby, being like, all these people are devils. A lot of it probably comes from seeing the conversation between Eren and Reiner.
Yeah.
Seeing that they kind of both agree that they're kind of the same. It's just which place you're born in.
Yeah, that definitely opened the thought up a little bit more to Falco. The idea that maybe Paradise Island isn't just full of evil people. Maybe it is actually just people like him who are on the other side.
I feel like a lot of it too, like if Falco and Gabby did actually make it to Zeke and heard like Zeke's explanation, I feel like Falco could definitely turn, he could be like, okay, yeah, like I am, and this is about our race kind of thing. It's not really about just where you're from. It's not just about like a different island or something like that. He's like, this is more of like a people thing than like a place thing.
Yeah.
So he could turn. You never really know about Gabby. She's just kind of fucking insane.
Yeah. I mean, she's really fighting against the whole Eldian concept, and even when Falco takes away the armband, she just kind of snaps on him.
Yeah, she like panics a little bit, like freaks out. Like, no, this is what separates us from that trash, like.
Yeah, it's just like the idea of like, do you really think the armband's the only thing that's going to keep you separated? Like,
yeah, so we've seen like Falco is like, when they go to the farm, Falco's actually able to act like, he makes up the names really fast. He makes up the story. He's, actually acting like he's really thankful for this. And Gabby's constantly like fucking smacking the mom's hand away and like freaking out. And like, she's like, I don't even want to share a meal with these devils.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give the parents credit. Like, the fact that they didn't just straight up say, like, what the fuck, bitch? And they
I feel like they just figured that since these kids have run away from home, they were probably from, like, an abusive family.
Yeah, so. I think that's it. But the fact that they were able to just kind of accept that quickly, it's like, okay.
I mean, everybody, all, like, the children who were looking at them had, like, sus face on, though. They all that Attack on Titan, like, this character could be evil for all we know face.
Yeah, I know. But I think that's what everyone has every time.
It's true, yeah. So yeah, obviously the younger girl knows that they're from Marley. She overheard them talking. Yeah. She doesn't like use that to get them in trouble or tell the other people. She just uses it to try and get answers as to why did her mom have to die. We already discussed that, and they kind of go into it. We don't really see where that leaves off. She just kind of like sits in a corner at some point, maybe trying to just grasp it, and that's kind of where we leave off with Gabby and Falco. Gabby did mention in the episode that she wants to, she just kind of accepts the fact that she's going to die, but she wants to go get answers from Zeke before she dies.
Yeah, there was one line I was kind of confused about when she turned to Falco and just said, "You didn't have to die as well."
Yeah, well, she knew that by escaping, because they were gonna live if they just like the Eldons were just gonna kill them if they stayed in their cell and stuff like that.
Yeah.
By escaping, she knows that she's gonna die. She just wants answers before she dies. So Falco didn't have to escape with her.
Well, I mean, when they were escaping, she said they were gonna kill them. I think this is more about them going to Paradise Island. Period. Mm-hmm. Like, why did he go with her at that moment?
Yeah, I mean, she still doesn't understand that he likes her. She's kind of dumb.
I mean,
dumb in a lot of senses. So
I mean, he came right out and said at one point, and she was just like, "What?"
He's like, I don't know. Other information other than them though, we do see we see it's not Pixis, it's a different guy, different bearded guy discussing with I don't remember what her name is now because it's been like 2 weeks. The blonde girl.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
basically being like, hey, like the reason why we imprisoned you right after is because before this whole Zeke plan happened, you were staying in this place beside this guy who, leaked the information about Eren. You were also pretty close to Eren at this point. So like they thought that, they have something to do with the whole plan that they didn't know about with Eren attacking. So they're a little suspicious of them, so they have them locked
Curious
up.
if they enabled him to get over there and do what he wanted to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we also found out Flock and 3 recruits, including the one that Mikasa saved, have been leaking information about Eren.
Leaked information about Eren being like imprisoned and that kind of stuff, and a lot of people don't like that, right? Eren's kind of like the savior of Paradise Island, and why should he be imprisoned for taking the fight to Marley and actually actively trying to help out their island and stuff, right?
Because even before the war, like Eren was the one responsible for sealing the wall and creating a world where they could kind of live again and like re-expand. So
so he's obviously they're using these like leaked information to raise up like propaganda, basically being like, hey, let Eren out. We see characters we've seen before, like one of them is like
the Reeves company,
like the trading company. We see like the newspaper guy, we saw him before too. Some characters we've seen previously, like 4 years ago, they're all like, hey, like let Eren go, like this is ridiculous kind of thing. And so that's kind of important. We do see the conversation between the new recruit that leaked the information and Mikasa being like, hey, like if you join the scouts for Eren, why don't you just free him a little bit?
Yeah.
And then the part that was really strange is Mikasa has like the flashback to like when Eren like saved her after her parents were like killed. But like it looks from like a very different point of view. This is like an Eren was fucked point of view. He sounded way creepier and
it gave a completely different tone to the situation. I don't know if this is her kind of retroactively looking back at that and seeing it as a little bit psycho, or
seeing that Eren was like crazy earlier than she thought or something. But or maybe she's just like looking at it now with tinted glasses, seeing what Eren's become, being like, oh, maybe he was always like a little crazy. I don't know. Some important like implications there anyways, the fact that they even showed that scene.
It almost makes you wonder if maybe the information we had before was wrong.
Maybe, or once again, it could just be how she's looking back at it now. Maybe the one we saw was how it originally happened. We don't really know, but they're showing it for a reason. And then after, they actually do have a post-credit scene this week as well.
Oh, they do, yeah.
So after the credits, they go back to Marley. They show kind of cleaning up some of the stuff with like around like the Warhammer Titan, like crystal and stuff that was left.
Yeah.
Discussing how like Zeke's not actually dead, and they realize that they're like, Zeke must have betrayed us.
Yeah, they say we found pieces of him, but we only found his arms and legs. So
so they pretty much guess it accurately. Like he escaped on the balloon. He's been against us the whole time. He's probably working with the Eldian Restoration thing. And then they're like, in 6 months from now, we're gonna with the whole world basically we're gonna attack. And then that's where you see Reiner and I think who else is a big. I don't know.
Reiner,
Porco, Peak. They're basically all just like, hey, like Oh, and Colt. Colt was the one who started it.
I was trying to remember.
Colt's like, hey, like we can't wait 6 months to rescue Gabbo and Falky, Gabby and Falco.
Yeah,
we can't wait that long, and that's where then Reiner kind of backs him up, being like, hey, listen, like Zeke expects us to take these 6 months to wait to attack.
Yeah,
he's like, so what if if we want to go unexpected, let's surprise attack, like let's do it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where they leave off.
Yeah, which makes me wonder, like, are they going to make the same mistake they did before with the initial attack and lose more Titans?
They're going to send in Reiner, Porco, Peak, and like Colt. Colt doesn't even have a Titan. What the fuck's he going to do?
They'll probably give Colt like some of the Titans here and have him try and steal one of the Titans back.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know. It seems like that would be really, really stupid. Obviously, they even acknowledge that would be stupid, but they're like, is the stupidity level worth the surprise level? You got to kind of. Weigh the balance there.
Because one of the things you have to remember is that they keep talking about how Titan warfare is past, how it's obsolete, and how it's not going to be as effective as it once was. So maybe they don't think of losing Titans as that big of a deal anymore.
Yeah, I mean maybe, but I feel like losing the Titans to Paradise Island, I feel like would still be quite the hit.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Obviously, that's probably what they're going to do as far as the plot goes, because we're not going to. I don't think we're going to take a 6 month break. To like a time skip or anything like that. I think that we have to kind of see everything that's going on. So they're going to attack a little early. But how they're going to do that, if they literally just send in 4 people as like a surprise attack, seems like that would not go over well.
I mean, probably, yeah, especially considering their initial port's been kind of taken over. So
yeah, I mean, maybe their plan is to sneak in, like break Annie out, and they got 5. Like, who knows?
But we don't even know what side Annie's on at this point.
No, I mean, neither do they. So
I mean, Annie didn't seem to have that fond of an opinion of her father. So
yeah, I don't know. Either way, it's something we got to look forward to the future to seeing. Probably gonna be pretty important. What did we get on the next time? Did we get anything specific? We watched the next time thing, but I don't think I really saw anything.
No, we got to see a little bit of a conversation. We got to see an explosion.
An explosion in like the barracks or something. There might be more about Eren getting out.
Yeah, we're probably gonna see the start of the prison break sequence with the drugged wine and all that next season or next episode.
Probably, yeah. It did. The blonde girl in this mentioned specifically that like her family, so Sasha's family, was invited to go eat at a restaurant that's run by like a Marlian guy, so they should come with and get answers. So that's probably going to be pretty important for Gabby.
She's
going to
meet Nicolo.
Yep.
Wonder how Gabby's going to deal with
and
that.
That also links in with the whole wine thing. You know, Nicolo is probably going to know that Gabby's the one who killed Sasha.
I mean, will she? Will he?
I feel like that information was probably relatively public for Sasha's death. They would know that it was one of the Marlians that snuck on the ship. But
the question is he going to realize that she's Marlian?
I think they're going to tell her. The girl specifically said like, "Oh, you should go there and explain your situation. They might help you."
Yeah, I guess they'll just say like, "Hey, we want to go back. Can you help us?"
Yeah, so that's going to be a lot of upcoming drama we might get next episode.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to wait and see. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for Attack on Titan. As I said, there's a decent amount of stuff that happened, but like not too much to deep dive into anyways.
Yeah, it's a lot of payoff for previous conversations and a lot of setup for things we don't know enough about. So
yeah, either way, obviously, like every other week, we're pretty excited for next week. I think we only have like 5 or 6 episodes left, so shit's going to get real. And as we get to the end, we're also going to have to learn how we're getting the ending. If it is going to be they're just going to finish it up in 6 episodes, or if there's going to end up being a movie announced, or if there's somehow, I don't think there could be another season. They specifically named this like the final season, so they can't twist to be like almost the final season.
I mean, maybe they call the next season the epilogue or something.
Maybe,
I don't
but
know.
as we get to the end, hopefully we hear more about that. But yeah, that's it for today's episode. So that's everything we have to talk about.
Yeah.
You got any closing thoughts on anything?
No, nothing specific.
No, as I said, always, if you watched any part of this and you enjoyed it, leave us a comment, of course.
Like always, any interactions always appreciated. Any comments, theories, thoughts, or even just something you want us to talk about next week, just let us know in the comments below.
And of course, if you have anywhere you can share this, if you have a Discord that you think you can put this in without getting in too much trouble, or if you have a subreddit or anything that you want to post this in, we really appreciate it. We're trying just to get as much growth as possible, before this really, really popular season ends. Hopefully, if you're here specifically for one of these animes, hopefully, you keep watching and you enjoy enough that when we do start another season, you'll be in there to get into the discussion about which shows we should start. And then just find something else to latch on. Like, obviously, if you're someone who's only here for Kumo Desu, when we stop talking about Kumo Desu, you might want to leave. So yeah, hopefully, hopefully you stick around and you find other anime we talk about that you're gonna like.
Yeah.
If not, you might come back when Kumo Desu season 2 comes out, or.
Yeah, I mean, and we're also getting into the season where we're going to start seeing some next season announcements. So
yeah, exactly. So we're since we're about 5 weeks away or something like that long, or 6 weeks. I think it's around April. We've already seen some shows be like announced for April.
Yeah.
Especially after the Crunchyroll Awards, they showed a lot of like trailers.
Yeah.
So yeah, that means in these upcoming episodes, you can start leaving suggestions too, which shows you want us to watch, and then we'll probably do what we did last time with like a poll.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's not something you want us to watch, even if it's just something you're hyped about, just let us know. And
yeah, even if you're hyped, and then just let us know, that way we know what to watch, even if we don't discuss it. But yeah, we'll probably closer to the date, we'll probably do what we did last time and do a poll where people vote for some spots on what we talk about weekly.
Yeah.
I think other than that, thanks for watching, guys. This has been episode number 23. We'll be back next week, of course, with all probably the same anime. And I guess we'll see you there. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and peace, guys.
Peace.